squad was put together for. Falcons rising! Falcons champions!
The people players though.
That he's swinging with the charge up rapid, doing a billion damage.
Even as a duo, to output defense balls!
Welcome back to the ALGS, my friends. It's time for the Americas to take the stage and show us who will be playing in next week's regional finals. One day to go to prove that you deserve to be in the top 20 and to earn that spot, because of course it will not be given. All of these teams here in B versus C battling it out one last time to stake their claim that they should have a chance to be our regional champion and potentially make the EWC mid-season playoffs coming in July. All of that underway in just a moment, but let me welcome you first to the show. My name is Randy. I'll be your host, and I am not alone. That's a beautiful statement, both in my personal life, but really just on the broadcast speaking is what I'm talking about right now, because I got two great friends and casters to join me for today's action. We did EMEA earlier. Now it's time for Americas, and Vicky Kitty, that just means more good ALGS coming to your screens.
You're telling me we got some more good Apex? You know, that's what I'm here for. I could watch this all day long. But what makes me sit at the edge of my seat, Rain Day, is seeing the squads that are in the bubble right now who are at risk of even relegation here. So there's a lot of action to unpack.
You could look at the top spots. You could look at the bottom spots. Jamerson, there's a story throughout any of these teams competing, and it's one that's kind of culminating here for some, as it will be a sad day for those who do not make it and get a chance to play next week. But it'll also potentially be a very triumphant day for those who kind of squeeze through and give themselves another chance at victory.
Yeah, I mean, like you guys mentioned, like having the bubble there is one thing, but we have like bubbles on top of bubbles, right? Because we have relegation, and then we have regional finals, and then we have, of course, the mid-season playoffs. So a lot to play for, a lot at stakes. The majority of our squads have to be on top of their game to have any meaningful games here that actually impact their lives in a large way. So this is a very important final match day for so many of these squads.
Some of these teams coming back into a doubleheader for this weekend. If you've been watching, of course, it's a doubleheader. We've had 3 weekends like that in a row since the Open to get us to our final match day of our regional finals coming up next week. But let's take a look back at what happened yesterday in match day 8 for North America. The beauty of having so many games in a row is that you do get to find yourself warming up here and there, and maybe staying warm if you perform. Earlier on, it would be Twisted Minds. Shout out Crook, who'll be joining us a little bit later, so you already know when to ask it. What does chat say? Get your questions ready for Crook, as he'll be talking not only about that Game 1 win, their performance at the Open, but what he sees in today's matches. Next up, we'd see Rock Esports. We started singing a little bit. Rocksteady, Vaxlon, Deed, Sorcerer, certainly proving that they can continue to be effective as a trio. Been loving seeing that squad grow together. Match 3, well, it's a familiar name, not a familiar roster though. Duplex, Panic Apex, and Gentrifying on the new and revitalized TSM, taking game number 3, putting Team Liquid Alienware in the dust. And then KOI. I mean, you know them, you love them. Corinthians trying to get involved here earlier on, but Ben just doesn't quite have the angle to keep up this momentum. You see Fusion going down. Movie star Koi coming in yet again, and Awope will just become alone in the circle by himself and get taken out right there. Big win for Movie Star. Team Liquid, they will bounce back. And of course, this is the team that's deadly. Yanya back with his boys off of his stint visiting the gods of NRG. And now you can see it's Liquid who have found a little bit of momentum. Can they keep it up? And the double, the deuce from TSM. You could tell these guys, a lot of maturity stepping into this role. Not an easy banner to hold in terms of what it means for Apex Legends, but they're doing a great job so far. Earned him a 2nd place overall in the day, above Falcons. And Liquid Alienware also, like I said, bounce back big. You know, even if they're not getting first places, they're getting a ton of KP, and that's exactly what happened. As we look at the overall standings, Vicky, it is still Falcons in first place, but remember, Shopify Rebellion just 9 points behind them, and they've got a game in hand. They're playing today.
Absolutely, and through the Open, 100 Thieves have already solidified their positioning into the midseason playoffs. So, you know, they're not as stressed out here too, but you do have to also wonder where their positioning is and the rest of these teams. Top 20 teams are the squads that will be able to move on into that final regional finals right there. So TSM being right there with 85 points, feeling a little comfy, but then I'm looking at those bubble teams, which, as Jamerson already pointed out, bubbles on bubbles for the squads that feel like they are at risk.
Lot of love here for everyone who is helping us out in the community. Keep an eye on this close race to top 20, and not just that, top 16 for Americas, especially Xander Commander, who helped put this together so we can get that magic number. And that number right now seems to be about 65, Jamerson. A lot of teams in the mix on that one. A big day today for many of the squads playing. We'll give them a chance to cross over that threshold.
And importantly, also advancing to regional finals. See, it's a little bit lower there. It's going to be down at 50 points, some odd, give or take. And taking a look at our teams on the bubble, I mean, you got Citadel, LG, all sitting around 40 points. So they don't need a standout day. They just need to survive. They need to make it into like the top 5, and then they'll be fine. But again, there are so many teams that are chasing that 20th place spot to try and get into the regional finals, to have another shot at the mid-season playoffs. So that, again, stakes on stakes. This is looking like it's a smorgasbord for any carnivore out there.
And you're kind of also saying, listen, if I love Team Orchid, they're 43, number 65. It's not exact science, but that just gives you an idea. They need to get second or maybe third place is enough to get them into that range from where they are for 21 points in order to be involved. And look at this. Third may not be enough. That would put them at 61, I believe. It would put them at 64. Or 60, maybe 65, 66, if they were able to get second place. That's where they want to land. If you can see the regular season, first place always adds 25 points to their total. But coming up in the regional finals, it's even bigger. So getting into that top 20, maybe you eke in like your Team Orchid. You have a great day. Now you're sitting in maybe 20th place or something like that, trying to find your way. Well, that means if you continue to perform in regional finals, you'll actually be able to earn more points for your good placements. Yes, first place will qualify to EWC, but all of the other point totals have been extended and added to more gravitas to them so that they are weighted more due to the fact that this is the first time that we've actually seen a lobby filled with the top 20 teams in either EMEA or North America. It's going to be a fun weekend next weekend for sure, as we kind of take a look now at what this weekend is going to culminate with, which of course is B versus C. These are the teams. Some of them played yesterday, some playing for the first time this weekend here today. And if you look at it, Vicky, there's a lot of names, a lot of stories, as we mentioned, at the very top of the top and at the very bottom of the bottom, trying to make it in.
Right, I'm thinking about OMiT, currently sitting on that bubble, literally of being relegated themselves at 22 with 38 total points. They would literally need to probably win like the day and pop off. You also highlighted Team Orchid earlier on before, another team that is at risk if they don't have a standout performance, where I'm thinking about maybe like a top 5, top 3, like you had mentioned before too. And then other squads as well. LG, you talk about Orchid, you can't ignore LG, also sitting at 21st. So a lot of these teams feeling that risk, influencing how they're going to try to open up today's series.
A lot of teams here to look at for sure. And, I mean, from a top-down perspective, I do find that this is one of those days, Jamerson, that just has a little bit of a different spark to it. Personally, I'd like to play on this type of a day. It would get me motivated versus playing maybe last week or yesterday, where there's still another match day sitting by and watching. What do you think? A little bit better to have control in your hands at the moment, knowing what you got to do to succeed, or a little bit more nerves knowing that that's how far away you are? If you don't do it, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about today is that very few teams are watching off like in the lobby right now to see how today's matches actually unfold. Everyone has a hand in their own destiny today. Like, so many of our teams right now are like bottom 8 teams currently in this lobby have to absolutely perform today just to stay alive, and then have a hope of making it into the into the regional finals. So yeah, a lot of people with their own destinies in their hands. So this is going to be an amazing day.
Looks like the choice maybe has been made a few weeks prior for all of their performances to get here. So a lot of action That is a guarantee. Let's talk about who we think the action will center around, though. Vicky, I'll lead off with you. Who's your one to watch heading into our final match day here before regional finals?
So a team that I've been following for a bit now are actually Villainous, formerly Team Spectre, who are currently sitting in the 18th place overall with 51 points. The reason why I have been following this spot is because the analyst and the coach from eCholos, both of them actually, both Inzani and their other coach Darkside, were both coaches in helping the success of eCholos Laser during their run at EWC last year. So a lot of potential here, the build-up with the squad sticking together when they were formerly Team Spectre. The specific performance, though, that really was on my radar was their Day 7 Group A versus B performance, where they found themselves consistently in the end game for positioning and even finished first for the entire day, which had a very similar map rotation like today. It was, I believe, Broken Moon last Storm Point to open up the day. It's the opposite for today. So it was like a night and day performance compared to what they did for day number 6, where they finished in 18th. So it's a squad that has been formulating what they need to do, what they need to work on. I do believe this is a very momentum-based squad, and after already their performance from Day 7, that's what you want to carry over, since that was their performance in a stacked lobby like with Groups A versus B. As we take a look at their match Day 7 results, not a single win. Double second place, third place, fourth place are getting the KP, but that win still failed to reach them. So today, you know that they're vying for that opportunity, as I know, Jamerson, you wanted to talk about CTE.
Yeah, CTE, just one of those squads that are currently on the bubble, tied with OMiT in 22nd place. So that is firmly on the bubble, and this is a squad that really hasn't shown up throughout the rest of the season, but they had at least one standout performance that really is keeping them alive right now. But this squad definitely, has a lot to learn, and it feels like now that the pressure is on, they're trying their best to rise to the occasion. So Chase Mob, Cruel Buckle, Jay, honestly, the pieces are there for them to have decent days. They just haven't been able to convert on a lot of it, unfortunately. Luckily, though, when we take a look at what happened in match Day 7 for them, their last day played, it came down to one miracle game. That first place finish with 16 kills at 28 points out of, I think it was like 45 that they had on the day. That was the huge difference maker that put them up enough to get 15 points on the day on the overall leaderboard to put them here in 22nd place, tied for 22nd place. So if they can have a monstrous day, or excuse me, one monstrous game like that, maybe that's going to be enough, that clutch factor for them. Take a look at Cruel Buckle. Last game, 9 kills on that Pathfinder. If they can have 1 or 2 games like that, that might just be enough to keep them here in Pro League.
Well, when you look at this team, you got to look at another team who might be on the bubble. And that's not because this team hasn't had performances where they've gotten top 10s, top 7s, and been a threat. It's because they haven't capitalized on the moments that were available to them. They played yesterday, and they went from 15th place overall into 16th place. That means they're not moving up the leaderboard. They're not really falling as well. Luckily, they had a match day in hand, and this is that one. So it needs to happen now. January, Dan Mantic, and of course, Kimchi Lee. These 3 players having some history in the ALGS, but not really the most historied team, or a couple of players to join Kimchi, who recently was with Complexity, and of course has that beloved friendship with Monsoon, as they have recently split ways and gone their own directions heading into the end of this split and heading towards midseason playoffs. Kimchi being inserted into Dan Mantic's squad, who has placed 30th, 20th, and 21st in his Pro League sessions in North America, is looking now to improve upon that, not only ranking his highest ever, which is at this point 16th, but trying to push the envelope so they can feel secure going into regional finals, that they have a chance to be one of the top 16 teams in North America, which would guarantee them a spot at the midseason playoffs. It is a night and day difference if you've joined us from EMEA, because while those teams need to make top 8, these teams have a lot more wiggle room due to the strength of the region and their performances so far. So keep an eye out on Fusion. Can they improve today? Vicky, one more team before we start getting into the games.
All right, we cannot get into today's games without talking about NIP. Ninjas in Pajamas are currently sitting in 9th place overall with 65 points. got 5th in yesterday's stack lobbies of Group A versus C, and they also currently stand at that middle of the pack squad with their current performance. I feel like with Kuriv seeing how his former teammates were able to take that win yesterday for Team Liquid Alienware to pop off, they were looking on maybe to take inspiration from that to help elevate NIP in today's matches. And even after yesterday's performance, yeah, Liquid's not playing today, etc., but they had tied themselves up with NIP. Obviously, this means that NIP will probably overtake that plus more, but it's a little bit of that inspiration, motivation for this team to continue on doing what they need to do differently here. Currently also coached by Raven. We've seen what Raven's been able to bring to the table with Vayne, Kuriv, and McLovin. I feel like NIP has been able to have their own standout performances, but it's about the consistency that we need to keep seeing from them. I feel like the one thing too that has to be highlighted is how they've been able to adapt around the different map rotation that we've been seeing thus far. Sometimes it kind of throws a wrench to that consistency that I keep mentioning, and you'll have where you see here on match day 8, they'll get second place, but then fail to find that positioning falling in the earlier part of the game.
Well, this is definitely a team that has people who have had success across the board. Vayne, split winner overall back when we were online, but with Oxygen Esports finding a way to put himself in one of the banner conversations when we headed into the copper box, and you had those floating up in the air as to who actually was a champion at one of our events. Well, that just means that if McLovin and Kuriv can find that rhythm, and under an org like NIP, who is so historied throughout all of esports, and Raven with their coach, well, they have a chance. They have a chance here, and we'll see how they could perform today. Of course, if you guys want to watch not just on our ALGS broadcast, but you want to add a little bit of spice, a little flavor, maybe just a second monitor, and you want something to do with it, well, how about Face It Watch? You can access multi-view, throw your map screen up there, listen to your favorite team's rotations as we're talking about them at a macro level. You hear them on a micro level, switch back and forth, create your own dynamic. Enjoy the ALGS your way. And of course, if you're sitting back relaxing with a nice beverage in hand or maybe some snacks, it works on the Chromecast too. You get to watch the ALGS however you want with faceit.com/watch. So check it out, faceit.com/watch. Also remember that for this afternoon, after game 3, we're going to be inviting Crook, one of the players from Twisted Minds, who has been performing so well, to join us and talk about what he's seen in these last few games and give us a tease into what's up next. But for you, we want you to be a part of the broadcast. So at us on Play Apex Esports on X or in the Twitch or YouTube chat, a question that you might have for Crook, controversial, funny, whatever it is, we want to throw Crook some curveballs, or at least some layups, so that he can have fun on our mid-show broadcast. So make sure to let us know what you want us to ask him. All right, guys, great start to the show. It's now time to kick it off. Game 1 is about to be underway, and for that, we've got Vicky, Kitty, and Jamerson.
All right, Jamerson, thank you so much, Rain Day. And as Rain Day already mentioned, we got game number 1 coming to you guys shortly, and we also are starting off the day on Broken Moon for our first 3 games before we make that transition onto Storm Point.
Yeah, and again, the stakes here are just so high for this group, right? Because it's not just about the bubble, but we also have seeding going into future events, particularly for the mid-season finals. So even for our top teams, they know that they have to hit that plus 25 at the end of the day. They need the win if they want to have that slight edge in the competition when it comes to the map draft later on.
Yeah, brings into question, the team that you had on your radar, CTE, they actually are one of the last picks here for cultivation over on Broken Moon. Things that CTE may need to opt to do here and figuring out what they're going to plan on doing on Broken Moon. A map, in my opinion, that is very difficult to transcend through from these chokes. These chokes are so brutal for the squads that have a slower rotate depending on where these final zones are going to be pulling. And I think it's been very interesting to see how these legend bands have been thrown into the competition on top of Broken Moon to force a lot of these squads to play out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, importantly, in this particular lobby, it is going to be important to, mind your corners, mind every single doorway as you move through, because we have a particular squad that likes to set up a lot of traps at chokes and does a lot of lurking, and that's going to be particularly OMiT. And I'm trying to spot where they ended up drafting here. It's going to be at Hazmat Tunnel. So yeah, they'll definitely have opportunities to try and catch out teams, whether they're going from west to east or east to north or south to north, right? To try and catch them out. And OMiT, I think in particular, being very centralized right there, will play a pretty big role across our next 3 maps.
be crazy here as well, because then you have to get comfortable here on Broken Moon depending on which legends will be picked the majority of the time for some of these games, and then having to adapt around that before making your way into Stormpoint, where we've seen a lot of teams kind of lean into those comfort map picks, right? Seeing that they still haven't really been able to adapt around Broken Moon and E District being brought into the map rotation, but it's game number 1 here for match day 9, groups B versus C. This is where it matters the most for a lot of our squads to dictate the way they want to start off game number 1. For the teams that are on the cusp of relegation, they need to get the points that they need. They need to get KP. So I'm expecting some of these teams to right off the rip try to take some of these fights.
Interestingly, because of how many teams can qualify from the Americas region, that bubble between being relegated, between being sent to mid-season, or excuse me, to the regional finals, and then of course securing a spot in mid-season is all extremely close. So a lot of these teams, even in that 16th place spot, are actually well within reach of our teams that are in that relegation area. So again, there are so many important fights that'll be taking place, and for Orchid, this is definitely a team that needs KP because they are on the bubble right now, 19th with 43 points overall. They're only leading by 4 points up against LG and CTE, who are tied in 21st respectively.
I'm going to be talking about Team Orchid a lot too as the day goes on here for Americas, because I feel like they're going to be a very good story to follow considering where their placement is in the overall standings. As you mentioned, sitting on that 19th spot, wanting to get that early KP, already benefiting them here. Sentinels are going to be able to get that scan, get that reset on top of it all. They try to take that fight early on from Spaceport, but not working for them here. Also playing split a little bit too. They're going to be able to have that Evo Harvester, and we're going to be able to see where our zone is going to be pulling here on Broken Moon for the first game.
Yeah, it's going to be pulling down to Atmos Station. Chance that it does pull up towards Terraformer. So for teams that want to try and play the chokes here to have that 50-50 on whether or not pulls up. But I think a lot of people are going to kind of anticipate that this one does go down to Atmo. For a lot of other teams coming from the north side, they will be okay with being over there at Terraformer. Unfortunately, it's hard to tell on the map, but it doesn't look like we have a ring console for us there. So it'll only be the UAV scan that they'll have to utilize to try and get into Atmo and try and find a spot that is playable.
Look how many squads are already so quick on their rotate, calling an evac tower after getting an Evo Harvester of their own here. Leave the Witness being one of them. Fusion just calling in their own. VP going from Bionomics now over rotating after they had a ring console and a survey beacon. So also being able to get objective here. And with Most Loved already being on that northern building by Atmo, they could also try to prevent other squads from getting information on a ring console right there. It is also nice to know, looking at the different team compositions, that Alter is the most picked legend for this first game.
Yeah, I didn't get a good count, but it looks like maybe 18 out of the 20 teams are currently playing that Alter. No surprises here whatsoever. In EMEA, though, we did have Ash actually being the first legend banned. Dig Vibes caught out by CTE, and we're talking about the teams on the bubble that need that early fight, that need to get KP throughout the day. CTE is definitely one of them. So this is a nice little pickup for them, especially trying to whittle down the traffic that can come to the south side of Atmos Station. This could be a great way for them to convert into the mid game by wiping this squad ahead of them, but it does look like they have made it out, and instead, CTE will go ahead and hold position here on the southern building here at Atmo.
So many other teams around them too, and with so many other alters. Having to try to take these fights very carefully makes it very easy to get third party here and even get a quick reset after seeing what we've already seen with Alter and their Void Nexus on top of it all. The Alter, Catalyst, and Newcastle have a 6-pick rate too, so 32% of the lobby running that same composition is actually crazy. The only difference really being the Newcastle and Sparrow being picked as that third legend to add to their composition. So VP looking ahead here, they've already set up their own Alter ult over in the distance just in case they want to try to reposition and wrap around if the zone keeps pulling north and they're going to get gate capped.
Yeah, VP don't like seeing that. The fight that took place between CTE and Unleashed forced Unleashed all the way down to the south side to go for that respawn, and now that's adding to the traffic that VP are going to have to deal with here on the southeast side. It does seem like a few teams are starting to rear their head around the Bionomics area, that same rotation that VP made, and so now they have to keep kind of track of that. Unleashed did end up moving away from that southern spot and going back towards where CTE is, but VP will have to keep that in the back of their minds the entire time. Now Sentinels slowly moving their way out through the core. I think that initial frag that happened onto Sentinels, it was just someone getting cheeky, going for some early bins, try to get a little extra evo for themselves, and then just go for the reset and get the points that way. So I don't think anything really happened there at the core, but of course, everyone's happy when they get themselves some points. So regardless of that, we do have OMiT, another team, again, on the bubble. They're tied right now with CTE, who are their neighbors in this building over.
The script writes itself here as RKN tries to make a move, but even with the catwall that was trying to block him out, luckily he had the portal ready. Luckily he was the one on the raid, so he could just get right back into his building. It did cost the portal though at the same time, but sure as they're gonna just wait patiently inside that building, that they'll be able to wait on another one.
I'm a little bit surprised that OMiT decided to try and play slow side of the zone here instead of their typical aggressive choke holding tendencies. Here instead, I think with so much on the line that they're not really going to risk it, especially when they get a zone pull like this, right? Coming from Hazmat Tunnel, it wasn't that far of a rotation for them. They are able to make it to the slow side of the zone. But as time goes on, we're starting to see the buildup of the traffic on that south side of the zone. Like we had mentioned for Virtus.pro side, you got Villainous coming in from the south. For OMiT, CTE, Unleash, all in that southwest region. You got teams like NIP and Shopify Rebellion coming in. But that does leave a lot more of the north actually free on this rotation. FURIA slowly making their way in from that northeast side of the map through the divide right now.
Yeah, playing objective where they have a ring console, double surveys, just so that way they can also go to the Evo Harvester, boost up those Evo shields here in total. I mean, they're already at max with purple, but it's also about getting information, being on that crypto. One of the squads rocking their crypto, which I think is very important to note, as they're going to start making their way from the divide, seeing where everybody else is. And I like how you also highlighted how the north side being rather clear in terms of pathing, really Team Orchid being the only squad that's about to come out of Terraformer NRG over to their south side. And then we get to take a look at squads like Sentinels, as it's actually slowed down a little bit after the early action that we saw from the very beginning. Although OMiT losing out on Sang, as we take a look at Shopify Rebellion, they're starting to ping, see where they want to start rotating. Let's jump into a listening with Shopify Rebellion as NIP are slowly approaching to their south side of cultivation.
I'm hitting the cult player scan, okay?
Yeah, I'm here.
I heard John.
No squads.
Okay, we gotta walk up here. We can play out the back here, remember?
Yeah,
we gotta get to this building here and then just fight from there.
That's not the theory.
There's a mobile area.
It's one team in that building now.
They're fighting here. We could just look at. I think they're running up looking to third maybe.
What team?
I'm grabbing the Moby.
Oh,
This team here.
Okay, yeah.
No, they're not fighting here.
Guys open. One yelling. 69, double 69, 120.
Saw you right now.
Nice.
He's dead.
Nice.
I don't think you can rest. Look at it.
Where'd you knock him at?
Bottom.
I'm running up.
I broke TV.
Yeah.
I'm running up.
Nice.
I think they get rest.
I can EP them.
Yeah. We can fight. I'm gonna queue the door off. Queuing the front door off. He's on it. Got queuing him.
I'm flying straight up.
I'm gonna walk up right.
Yeah, they got him up. He's on roof.
Go.
Running up.
Yeah,
Yes, I have
they're
EP.
going roof. Yeah, they're all roof. All roof. I have an angle.
I'm scanning it.
Almost got. Chuck.
They're looking at me. I got a bat.
Yeah, bad. You're fine. Safe.
I need show.
Sorry,
Yeah, all good.
We need to walk in here. We don't need to fight them.
I have to see you. guys. Just chill. Full heal.
All staring at me.
I have to see you.
Can you get TP down when you have a coin?
No, I don't have it.
There's one above me.
One's close.
One
One's under. Alright, I'm back.
Give me a second. Kill this guy.
One's like under the staircase.
He's ready. 1 and 4.
Dead.
Another one.
Come.
I'm gonna EP them.
DP, man.
Up and fire up. EP.
I won. Dead.
Nice.
Last one.
Come. Give me a sec.
Yeah. I'm coming inside you.
Dead. Batting.
Nice. Drunk
Nice. Right, no.
We can just walk in here. We don't.
Yeah, just tank zone, okay?
They're pouring down on us.
Really good kills. Yeah, this guy's sporting. That team is Koi.
Okay.
Northeast, just yeah. I need that box, man.
Shopify Rebellion having so much time to work off there to hunt down that squad. They'll pick up the +3. Now they have a new threat to worry about. Look at RKN from OMiT Vicky on that lurk. This is what I'm talking about.
And he's got a portal right there too, man. But those listening, chef's kiss right there. I mean, I was honestly rolling, hearing the raw emotion coming from this team. They don't even look stressed right there. You saw the double nice 69 shots coming in, that final shot allowing them to close in the gap, and even finishing it in a quick, timely manner. So that way, now OMiT don't really have to gatekeep them, because Shopify have time to now wrap around if they wanted to. Looking at another team up ahead, it's 100 Thieves who are also in that next zone.
Yeah, there was a brief moment where Phony was disconnected, but it does look like he is back in game. Luckily for 100 Thieves, they have Leave No Witnesses to their north, who really are in a pretty decent spot, playing off that choke with the ring coming down towards them. So there was no impetus really for them to rush. So luckily for us, everything was great for Phony to be able to hit that DC right when he did. For Shopify Rebellion, again, they'll have time. We were talking about how was traffic here in the southern side, but now it is starting to pile up there on the north. We've got about 4 teams currently in that middle of the map right now, as teams still need to make their way into Atmo Station.
Being Sentinels now, moving up. They're gonna slowly start approaching all gamers though. You can see the pings, seeing the other team that may be meeting up them from the other side. Waiting in the crypto drone is gonna be Skittle Cakes.
Oh no.
Being invisible, pinging for them too, but also looking at the distance is another team without looking behind them.
Oh boy, this is a scary proposition, because I'm pretty sure he was looking on the other side at Terraformer right now. AGG, they get sent on by Sentinels, and unfortunately they thought their back was clear. No one was really watching. Now they're down as Sentinels are looking to full send.
It's the fact that Skittles was in the drone for a brief moment, and Sentinels moving up, hearing it. Sentinels move up, take Skittles, now dismantle all gamers, and are going to be able to walk away with that free KP.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all gamers were keeping an eye on whatever the hell was happening over at Terraformer. There was a brief engagement over the Mythic bin that was spawning in over there. But you might have gotten the Mythic bin, but you leave yourself now stuck with 2 very incredibly hard chokes to push through. Fusions is holding it on the north side. Leave No Witnesses as well, basically playing off these northern chokes. Sentinels keeping their back clear though, because teams can still walk through this zone. They'll take some damage, but they can still walk back through this one. They bide their time. Ring starts closing in, and now they start establishing themselves firmly here on the eastern side of Atmo.
Zap's still trying to keep the dream alive here for AG too, seeing if maybe they could get the res as he approaches a respawn beacon. Shopify Zainu falling low is going to be able to pop this shield bat. Bocek in MT's hand, looking fantastic. Devo too, coming in from Zainu once he pops his med kit. Koiful though recognizes the situation. OMiT holding these corners inside the building and cannot pop the Void Nexus in time.
Yeah, unfortunately, Shopify Rebellion took a little bit too long on that push. They had gotten the knock, but the res happened for OMiT there. And then they were up full 3. Now here's Team Orchid moving on and moving and shooting. Citadel lose out on one. Hambino might be able to get out of here. And it looks like they'll find that Thirst. That's Citadel Gaming getting cleaned up by Team Orchid, who find a small corner to play with. But Corinthians are on the other side of this fight. They've got to be careful. NRG find themselves in a fight as well. This is the Northern Choke, that scramble that I was talking about.
Oh yeah, and there's like 3-4 different squads here just waiting to collapse on one another as VP get eliminated. Shopify are able to respawn Koiful too. And out in the distance is FURIA trying to force their way out from the zone. It was only 1 member left, and they find Keon. 100 Thieves now moving up, trying to take this fight. Takes the Ultra Portal right back, though, from the other side of the lip of the cliff. Koi coming in from the heavens, drops down, and immediately starts shooting, leaving his back open for Verholz to get the knock.
It was a good response. Phony now is here in the fight. He was pretty far back with that crypto, but as soon as they found that opening, they went in for that push. For Shopify Rebellion, though, they're resetting themselves. We'll see if 100 Thieves can hunt down the rest of them, and you can see why the move here was so strong. We had that ring pulling over here. Sentinels on the edges, able to find the knock onto Fusions, who are playing that choke to that north, but we'll see if they can get that res. As now NRG starting to turn the screws, but they got Orchid to their side. They've got to be careful with this push now. Timmy caught out. Hambino will be able to get him, and that instant thirst. Here's Guild now trying his own hand at it, but it looks like NRG are just sending KP over towards Team Orchid.
And Hambino's cleaning everything up here for the rest of Team Orchid. Huge team fight win, and the fact that they had the evac tower to work with too, that I believe they actually took out of the death boxes of NRG. So now going to be able to utilize that for their own good, so that way they don't get circle kept by Fusion. They're going to be flying right over their heads, as well as the solo that is still left of all gamers. I believe that's still Zap, and now Team Orchid flying around on the other side, trying to find a place to land.
Yeah, this is completely blind, but it does seem like possibly they will be fine. Never mind, Luxford ends up going down, and it's a complete split by Orchid as they make their landing. We'll see if they can recover those Sentinels now moving in from the eastern edge. They do have, I believe, one member of All Gamers just outside, Most Loved right above them, zoned to their back.
Sentinels trying to get information off that Cryptodronus. Corinthians starting to take this fight off the low ground at a positional disadvantage, managing to break at least one side of that Newcastle wall, even trying to dance around the other side of the care package here too. But Wands gets isolated over to the left side. Keens goes down alongside him. Bin with just the P20s though gets deleted, and a nice final shot with a Sentinel to be the nail in the coffin, as Sentinels now having to avoid the grenades stuck on these arrows, so that way they could reposition here over to the other side, only utilizing the knockdown shield for cover.
Oh no.
Oh.
Loader gets tagged by that arc,
Again.
but we will be safe for now. Loader on the outside. Cruel Buckle pushes forward to get that knock. Sentinels are out. CTE clear out this eastern side, but the job's not done. LG are moving in for the third party. You got Orchid as a two-man to their south as well, but LG end up losing out on one. J, Cruel Buckle, CTE. I think we were right to mention them at the beginning of the show.
Oh man, Mod looked like he right there. Noct was just standing there, he couldn't really do much, getting pinged from a distance with these 30-30s. And as you mentioned, from CTE, gonna be able to move up here too. OMiT still in this building over to the side, looking at Team Orchid unleash. The attempt on the res, as well as Team Orchid get eliminated. CTE now in that middle building over to that south side, looking at unleashed by the bridge.
100 Thieves keeping their front clear now, as we have a lot of movement here on the eastern edge. Fusions were looking for an opportunity to come in and sweep through this side, but there are so many teams in the way. Fusions might just want to keep continuing to their northern side. Chase Mob getting deep into the zone, and we're able to get that port back, and with that Newcastle wall, they'll be safely up.
I want to know if Shopify were able to steal that res off of a remote res with the crypto, because they were playing so split over to that western side, as 100 Thieves are looking to cut off those two members of Shopify Rebellion, as that one member who came back from that res ship drops down, sees leave no witness. Shopify get eliminated. 5 squads now left.
Yeah, and 100 Thieves have eyes on Fusion right now, but here on the south side, it's OMiT versus Unleashed. CTE are coming in for the third party. Full swing as a 3-man, but he's revealed Unleashed. Looks like will ultimately go down. The way CTE started off this round, but with Unleashed falling, OMiT have an opportunity to try and come in for the third party, but they are so low. No one's healing up. We're now down to 4 squads, 11 players remaining. Never mind, make that 3 full squads here. Vicky, it's going to be Fusions, 100 Thieves, and CTE to close out game number 1.
And that was with CTE having to take out OMiT, the other squad that they were originally tied with in the overall standings before the day started. 100 Thieves now looking on at Fusion. Which squad is going to have to engage first? Looking at this final ring, look at the different directions that all these teams are holding currently right now, with 100 Thieves making sure that Fusion feel a bit of that pressure.
Yeah, they got the scan out with that drone. I don't know if it was cleared or if it was sent back, and so they might be vulnerable. There's still plenty of time here, 20 seconds for that drone to come back up in time for them. 100 Thieves have a lot of utility to play off of, right? They've got the knuckle clusters, they've got that mother load to drop down, and they're starting to ping. They're getting itchy here, Vicky. They might try to full send it onto Fusion right now. Mother load right on top of them would keep them contained, allow CTE to find the angles onto Fusion. You can see Cruel Buckle is peeking. Dan Mantic takes a lot of damage, and there's the mother load coming out, and there's the knock.
Even with the red Evos, you can put that away. No Mythic Bin could save you here, as 100 Thieves close in that gap, but this just leaves Burholes, as now CTE moving for the timely matter on the third party, and right when they needed it the most, they start off the day winning game number 1.
Wow, fantastic job from CTE, and really did begin at the start of this first round. Getting that knock, I believe, a kill onto one of the Unleashed members, really whittling down the teams that would contest them there on the southern side. Made it that much easier for them to try and control. OMiT, though, to their credit, also helped CTE in really solidifying that spot until it came down to that late game. But CTE did a fantastic job of staying active there in the slow part of the zone, which is really odd to say, right? Because that's the slow part of the zone. That's where the ring kept pulling down towards. We didn't see as much traffic there to the south as we were expecting, but they were still constantly having to deal with so many teams rotating in, or at least peeking in to see if they could take that spot.
Especially that open spot by the west side of a zone like that, where a lot of teams want to rotate from that northwestern choke that you usually see, that low to high ground disparity. As we take a look at match one results, CTE not only take that dub, but they take it with 12 KP to start off their day. 100 Thieves even behind them with 7 KP. Nice KP all the way around, even looking at OMiT, who were able to secure 2 KP, but that was with them doing a very early rotate from Hazmat Tunnel.
Yeah, that's going to be super important, though, taking a look at both of those teams, right? CTE and OMiT, because you have, what is that, a 17-point swing now between these two teams that started off this match tied with 38 in the overall standings. So this is a huge way now for CTE. Start making some distance against the other teams that are underneath them in the overall leaderboard.
As we take a look at the top performers too, right here, Cruel Buckle, he was giving it to them with 6 KP here too. Guardian Angel helping them out, Jay with 1 revive here. Warlord as well as Cruel Buckle with the 1.9k damage. Even being able to follow up here and get the 5 assists from CTE. So with CTE basically taking all this up here after taking that first game.
Yeah, I forgot for a moment that that's the name of the title, Wingman, not the weapon. I was like, oh, he got 5 assists with the Wingman. That's nice. Weapon meta's starting to change, maybe. No. No one's using the Wingman right now.
No, it's actually all the R9 after that first game, which I think is very interesting. We're still seeing a shift away from what we had witnessed within P20s, now seeing the R9s getting 28 kills in the whole lobby after that first game. It's been great, aside from that and the legend compositions that we've been exposed to. No more Alter, and we'll see some more action for game number 2 on the other side of this break.
Being called a prodigy isn't easy. The pressure, the expectations. I'm just kidding. I was born for this. And yeah. The future is here. Are you ready? I've got endless determination, a lifetime of practice, and a total lack of media training. Success, it don't come overnight. Just watch me put up a fight. Locked in, I'm feeling cold as ice. Let's move. I don't know how to slow down. Found my target. Time to say ciao. Doing work on a holdout. It's looking like it's a blowout. More eyes on you means less on me. Putting in audio with top. Making my way up to the top. Sing it out. The first in line, the next in line. I can't deny I'm in the games, I'm on your screens, and now I'm on billboards. Check this out. Che figata. It's looking like it's a blowout. Putting in audio with top. Making my way up to the top.
Coming in hot.
The first in line, the next in line. I can't deny.
Later, champ.
Here I go. Do it again. Surprise. Woohoo! I didn't know I'd end up here, but I do know how it ends. Yeah. I've heard losing builds character. Let me know how that goes. Been waiting my whole life for this. Yeah. Been getting so right for this. Hey. Been waiting my whole life. Hey, ragazzi, we did it.
Pay attention.
Welcome back, folks, to the ALGS. Game 1 wraps up with CTE on top. 100 Thieves had no idea what was going on with that. But you know what? Neither did we. This is a team we highlighted earlier on, Vicky, and now they've shown why they were highlighted. What a performance. Cruel Buckle leading the lobby with 6 kills to start. And it's worth taking a look at that again. I know you cast it, but walk us through how they were able to close that one out.
Well, what we saw from 100 Thieves was they were trying to send it, I believe it was onto Fusion, our third placing squad after that first game. And just looking at their positioning, they decided to play for second, knowing very well that CTA was going to just walk up and get that third party. But looking at the action that led up to that here, Fusion in that position that they were holding over to that northwestern side that we were talking about before, playing off that low ground could be very difficult, especially if you're stuck outside of that zone after you exit out of those zipline buildings. And then most of the chaos for a zone like this just ended up with teams collapsing on one another from the east side of Atmo Station.
So much damage from Cruel Buckle and squad. You can see why. They have the high ground. They force everyone else to fight. 100 Thieves and what I believe might be Fusion going back and forth. Yes, that January, Kim Chi trying to take on Verholz and Jim Burton and Phony, and then Chase Mob with the confidence of a seasoned vet, just sliding down and saying, this is my town. Don't try to come up here. Again, Broken Moon sometimes is the conversation for that one. It's a difficult map. Some of these rotations, I mean, despite, you know, even with having Alter, are very, very difficult. Vicky can throw some people off. But CTE, you cannot deny the need for results right now because they are in a position in, I believe, 22nd place overall, where they're not even qualified for the regional finals next week. They have to earn their spot to play next week, but then they also have to earn their spot if they want to the regional to obviously the playoffs, which still is possible here, Vicky. It's not like they're playing for something that's out of reach.
They would have to go absolutely insane. But if you're going to start off our series today, like game number 1 with 12 KP and a dub, then that is definitely one way to keep it going. And as you mentioned, being on that cusp, right on top of OMiT on the 22nd spot in the overall standings, they're not just fighting for the opportunity for that playoff spot. They're fighting to even stay in the Pro League before they inevitably could get relegated if they don't perform well here.
Feels like there's pressure on both sides as we get into game number 2 on Broken Moon, trying to avoid relegation, trying to make it into next week to stay alive. And of course, if they can perform next week, if they get there, there is a chance to be in that top 16. Right now, currently separated, let's see, by about 17 points from 16th place right now, which is held by none other than Fusion, who is in that skirmish. So you got a team trying to claw in, you got a team trying to stay in. 65 is the magic number, as we heard, and that would require a pretty big performance. Not only a win, but maybe a little bit of luck as well. CTE up on top, 2,400 Thieves right behind him, and Fusion in third as we look to land and follow along as you see Chase Mob, Jay, and our winning team starting to loot up.
5 different teams rocking the Ash, Catalyst, and Newcastle composition, with Ash being the most picked legend within game number 2, with 15 players on to Ash. So kind of different opposite rotations in terms of legends, looking at the EMEA region and now Ash, where the first game we did say bye to, I believe it was Ash and then Alter, kind of doing that little flip here too. So CTE coming off of that dub, not one of the teams rocking that Ash into Catalyst and Newcastle. Instead, still opting here to look at the Sparrow, where a lot of teams, it's one or the other, right? You're either comfortable on rocking the Crypto, or you're gonna have one of your teammates on that Sparrow.
Yeah, it's interesting too. I totally agree with the Crypto or the Sparrow. Such great recon legends. I love Sparrow's introduction, already finding some value early on. But I like talking in EMEA about how the impact for looking at what Zuni said worked for them was the fact that they didn't play Fuse, and having Fuse get banned out in game 3 really opened a lot of stuff out for them. You know, when you are kind of putting lineups together that are not dependent on a few of these legends that have a ton of oppressiveness, and other teams are, well then, okay, you take the Fuse away, you take the Newcastle away. What do you do as a result of that? A lot of teams now scrambling, trying to mimic that same level of aggression that they had with that Fuse lineup. It's not going to be there. There's really not a lot of legends that can throw 75,000 grenades at you in 2 seconds, and that's the beauty of Fuse, but it also means that they're going to almost be having a little bit of a crutch going into it. Teams that can play consistent around it going to be huge as we take a look now at not only the legends and the compositions for our teams here in match 2, but where the zone looks to be pulling, and Terraformer looks to have a lot of action already.
It does. That's LG's POI too. So they've already situated themselves in the middle. Looks like they really only had a survey beacon here, unless Villainous's names or VP's names are overlapping over by a ring console here. But just being able to hold this spot, and I really like the conversation that you're bringing up, Rain Day. I could honestly talk about legend comps and just thinking about the different meta and how that's going to benefit different teams forever. But looking at this fight that's happening right now, CTE, the team that just won game number 1 in a very explosive way, are currently looking at Unleash. Luckily for them, on their 6th, they are safe exiting out of cultivation for now. 100 Thieves could opt to rotate from there after they scanned a survey beacon, understanding who's going to be waiting for them on that next circle pool. NRG now sliding in. All eyes on NRG, who have been phenomenal, with Timmy going to be able to get that finishing blow. Into Artiki here, and Energy just still trying to chase down that one last player who is literally one shot, who just popped the shield bat for what here? The Ash Dash to get out of trouble. No chasing down here for Timothy, as VP now with just Lou alive tries to clutch it out. He had to reload the P20s. Oh, that is always the worst feeling when you lose a fight because of something like that. But of course, in the heat of the moment too, sometimes you've already expended both your weapons and you have no other choice here. Great clutch coming in as Dynasty wins that trade.
Super unfortunate there for the reload on the P20s. I mean, one of the weapons that rarely needs a reload, has so much ammo in there and feels like fires forever. Some bad timing on the way for Virtus.pro. They'll be climbing back into it as well, sitting in 11th place right now overall. NRG, who we saw before that, sitting in 4th. So the experiment has worked out for him. It's been great to see the way this NRG squad has just been, to me, you know, kind of a revelation in this North America, in this overall, you know, ALGS conversation, as Timmy has kind of found his wings. I don't know if that's to do with him skydiving with the Red Bull squad right before, or, you know, something else, but he certainly can fly, and they've flown to the top of the leaderboard. I expect them to have a good contest here, Vicky, heading into not only this game, but for the overall split leaders, as they're only 13 points behind Falcons right now.
I guess that means that you could fly too, Randy. I know you met up, you know, or Timmy up in the skies. I'm just saying, you know, where we landing, I guess, at that point.
Sure, yeah. All that's true.
Yeah, the different POIs that you can find at your feet, as Team Orchid now looks for nice timing on the Q there to avoid the EMP and to allow him to reposition here too. Rambo does have that cat wall available to him. More squads now looking to see if this building is free for them. Cat wall is going to say otherwise, though. Cat barriers over the doors, what I meant to say here. Look away, though, and you talk about the grenade arrows. Oh, look at his health after getting stick initially, literally leaving Rambo 1.
And I'm not a big fan of those grenade arrows. One of the only interactions, I think the only interaction we've ever seen Apex produce where a character changes the way a weapon fires from an actual damage and, you know, utility standpoint. The only other character that has something close in their kit is Rampart with LMGs, but really not something to the sake of like it does an explosion after you shoot it with Rampart. So that's really something that Sparrow brings to the table, has not been utilized. It's a fine line to balance the Bocek bow. It came out, it was a monster. I mean, OP beyond OP, got reduced into, you know, a lot of nothingness, kind of found its way in and out, became a care package weapon, and now has been put back onto the floor after a long time in that package with what was a bit of a lackluster entrance. It got buffed right afterwards, increased some damage on those explosive arrows when they stick. And you could see, well, maybe that's just the right spot, as it was certainly deadly in that situation. Still, Lap Arrows favoring the G7 and the 30-30 over that, Vicky.
I'm a big G7 fan, although in my heart of hearts, we've already seen why the 30-30 is as strong as it is. As we talk about it, 30-30 in the distance, just ringing your ears here. But the G7 being one of the weapons I actually learned how to play Apex Legends with, really putting itself here consistently within the weapon meta when it comes to certain long-range weapons, depending on which attachments are in rotation too. I'm thinking specifically of like the longbow right now with the Skull Piercer. It's a strong weapon too, depending on what other weapon loadout you may have available to you, or if you're lacking on any ammo. Bojack being another one of those weapons here. As Sang from OMiT, one of the teams rocking that Sparrow. Arcan looking ahead, still sticking to the Wraith. It's a little slow here, of course, after understanding where these zones may be pulling.
Arcan resurging back with a new version of OMiT, which has been great to see. Had a little bit of a run in the open. Can they continue it now? CTG under pressure. Lot of congestion over near Terraformer as well. CTG and Citadel going against, obviously, Sentinels there. NRG have a chance to try to poach that. FURIA still hanging. Our winners of game 1, CTE on the Northwest, Vicky. But how is this looking for you top down as we head into our Ring 2 close?
Well, I'm looking at Sparrow just litter all over Broken Mood right now, but it's to be expected with the amount of Sparrows that we have currently in this lobby here and the way that LG is still situated in that middle part of Terraformer. Still putting in some pressure, looking at Villainous and Team Orchid, and Shopify wrapping around, going from inside the zone closer to that southern rotate as a pathing to go through northern Atmo Station, probably trying to prioritize objective here, but 100 Thieves, they're going to be able to get a scan on the circle beacon. If they get a scan on this survey or even see Shopify in the distance, this is going to be a fight that Shopify are going to have to wrap left for here, and it's going to be inevitable with 100 Thieves also having the crypto from Phony.
These are two teams that actually fought against each other before. It was 100 Thieves and Shopify Rebellion in game number 1 that went up against each other, kind of setting up for another battle between these two juggernauts. 100 Thieves trying to continue on. They had a kind of a lackluster, I would say, second half of the split after a very exciting open. They qualified with the results from there. Now they've had a 5-point match day and a 7-point match day. This is their last chance to put it all together. On the flip side of it, Shopify Rebellion won their next match day, got 3rd place in one of them, and then, of course, was able to get a 6th in this last one. So both teams coming off kind of a match day, trying to really stake their claim for maybe first place, top 5. But Sentinels now in the throw of things. Carter taking a little bit of damage, bounces outside, Vicky.
Water also popping a shield back, but it's Riley who needs the most help. He needs more cover fire here. Slaughter's going to be able to send out that knuckle cluster to just cut off that rotation if they have to navigate their way back down the stairwell. Here comes Carter to help hold the angle for him. Gets the knock. They do lose out on Loader because Riley cannot engage in this fight as he was also low. Doesn't get rid of the spikes. Realized having to divert their attention over to the left side. And then in the distance, a charge rifle? I think that may be a Bino over in the far distance here too, but Riley says, all right, well, I'm getting griefed by another team. I won't be able to get to the rest of my squad or even engage before they reset, so now I'm forced to back away.
Very tough for Sentinels. They're on the wrong side of this engagement. Not only are teams looking at them, the zone is moving in for Ring 2. And they've still got Citadel Gaming to go through. It's going to be a long one for Riley. He's going to have to wrap around, maybe try to find some respite on that southeastern side. Easier said than done, though. Citadel Gaming happy to just come out of that one with all 3 characters alive.
Launching this location.
Let me see here too.
Here we go.
The zone closing in, right? Riley's going to be able to try to navigate away. Still going to be able to coexist with the zone being right there, but where can you find yourself other than a crevice with 2 teams looking at you across the field as we take a look at where this zone is pulling, and all gamers with the call out already finding themselves in the middle here of that next zone pool.
Great showcase of how things have shifted a little bit. Not too much. LG still in a good spot. And a lot of teams, all roads lead through them from that outside. But it's going to create now a little bit of urgency. Citadel Gaming sitting pretty nice. NRG holding the building, though, that's going to kind of be where they want to move in. There's some space near the river and the rock, but you got to make sure you're not in line of sight with Team Orchid. So if you look at Citadel Gaming and you find out their lineup with a new castle and a catalyst, you've got an option. You know, they might be able to play some of this space that's a little bit different according to, you know, our indifference in relation to a Sparrow, a Wraith, and a Catalyst coming from Team Orchid, who have to kind of hold that building. That will be interesting to see if there's maybe a little bit of space to just crank it into zone and hold it, stabilize, that Citadel is able to work with there as 100 Thieves grab the evac.
And in the distance too, by the way, I believe Sentinels, Loader coming back. That squad maybe coming out of the zone. Now looking at Team Orchid, while 100 Thieves now fly in to join in on the action. They're getting shot at by most left over to the south side, but their focus right now is to find a safe place to land because you have fights happening from every angle. Corinthians being another one here by the hazmat tunnel. CTE, NIP, NRG, 3-4 squads here collapsing on one another. CTE get eliminated. Sentinels cannot make their way outside of zone. They fall at the hands of Team Orchid, and Corinthians are looking to reset with Wands literally being one shot.
Round 3 still closing. 30 seconds left to get it done, and Wands needs this desperately. He knows outside waits for him a little bit more pain, and NRG holding that space. Sykes with a new castle shield in front of him, and Kings and Wands right behind him. I don't think this is going to spell too long of a life for Corinthians. That'll end it. And that'll bring us to 14 squads here. Now NRG, maybe the main protagonist of this zone push, as they want to claim a little bit of space on the outside of this ring. But already ArcStar is starting to fly. You're not welcome here, said the teams right in front of him. And Devotion sings the same song, but a louder tune. It turns into an Ash portal to just get back. And Timmy, can he pull off some heroics there? I don't think so, as NRG also eliminated. And the mess continues as NIP get over and Shopify Rebellion start poking at OMiT.
Literally nowhere for them to be at. Can't even avoid an EMP push as well. Shopify, as we take a look and a break from the All Gamers versus NIP exiting out of the hazmat tunnel, we come right back around. Love that from our production. Zap dropped down here, literally one shot. NIP move up. Vane's gonna be able to safely pop that shield bat. And in your feed, Shopify are able to get that knock onto Sang, and McLovin getting that knock onto Drop.
Karev on the Sparrow. There's the Stinger Bolt as well. What a good ultimate. Level 3 makes a big difference in that one. Shopify Rebellion, though, say a Devotion, that's no problem. Tracking almost perfectly Koifel there. He misses a few shots that would have broken the shield, but Koifel holds that door, realizes it's getting blown up anyway. He backs off, gets the shield back, ready to go. Shopify Rebellion now. MT with the Bocek bow, trying to sling a couple of shots away, and ArcStars as well. Awope, not safe for him behind the rock. That looks like it is one that's destined to fail, but FURIA here doing everything they can to get in the conversation. Only 2 points, and a Devotion from that far, well, it's gold. Boy, oh boy, those things handle well from distance, and you can tell Nox, these pros, they understand that that is the weapon to be playing with here.
And with that EMP too, FURIA now back away after assessing the situation that was happening inside with Shopify Rebellion, but they're getting pinged in the distance by Most Love, who have been ignored until now. They walk up, Motherload called in, Keon is one, cannot get away before the rest of Most Love now move up, and they lose out on Lazar, with Shopify actually kind of helping out FURIA here, because very little cover unless you manage to try to climb up and get out of the LOS of the team that is shooting at you from the low ground there.
Keon might have just bought a little bit of time. Nox gonna have to go big here. They brought him on the squad for this!
Oh.
And that's where he earns his paycheck. Can FURIA stay alive, though? It's madness now as the IGL is gonna have to play big. Somebody said he sounds tall. Well, he's gotta play tall right here and stay alive. Koifel, however, gonna be a very, very tall opponent as well to go against, especially with a Devotion in his hand. That is it for him. His Team Orchid still in the fray. Rambo, we've seen him do it once before. Can he do it again? He cannot. And that will be the end of Orchid as Citadel Gaming clear that side and hold on with dear life to the northeast side of this ring.
And a little bit of griefing too. You can see on your feed from Villainous before they try to take the fight versus Citadel. AG2 still playing off that low ground, still looking at the team that is right next to them between Villainous and NIP. It's a fight that's been going on for the last minute and a half now, and it's still happening with Skittlecakes being on that crypto, still getting a scan to get information while being invisible.
All gamers. Zap dropped in Skittlecakes. You may not recognize the org, but you're certainly going to recognize the players. They're sitting in 6th place, 71 points, with a possible 97 as the leader in Falcons in terms of topping North America. So sitting just a little bit under what is possible here to be the best. They are certainly performing well, and they've got a nice low ground spot with some wants and fits ready to go. LG, Shubi, Nocturnal, joining the squad. He's firing down on Kimchi. Fusion avoided with the Catalyst wall. Nocturnal forced away. LG stay alive to fight this. Everyone trying to find the right target. Vicky seeming a little lost. Do I play low ground? Do I try to peek? Do I try to poke? And sometimes you get it wrong. Well, that's the result. You go down.
What? Wait a minute. And then 100 Thieves getting that Hail Mary res here too. Seeing if they can survive with the zone now closing in behind them. Losing out on Naughty and Shubi. LG only having Nocturnal to stay alive. Of course, it's the Ash player who manages to dash away. Fusion still alive here. Shopify Rebellion get eliminated. 5 squads left.
Huge moment for January. You know that Fusion need this win. They've got to find a way to get in to the zone. It's just up to Dan Mantic. It's not looking good. And it's not looking good for Villainous either. They cannibalize each other's chances. And sometimes that's what happens when you leave it all up to one last day if you want to qualify. It's pain for both those squads who could use the points. But NIP up on top. Kurev, Vayne, and a Stinger Bolt that's destroyed thanks to Watson. That's why she is so good to counter Sparrow. It's not one of those things you're going to bring out just for the case, but it's a real nice asset alongside the rest of the kit. Another Catalyst Q destroyed as well. That Watson getting so much value with her pylon.
It's the beauty of these counter picks right before you even load into the game, but NIP still have that positional advantage over by high ground. Kuriv is trying to take a different angle, and he gets beamed. LG now showing up. Zapto gets called out by the crypto drone. He's forced now to reposition as All Gamers are now still playing this out as a duo. One member of All Gamers being in that middle console here, while Zap being over to that left, that bottom left side.
It's going to go down as a mistake for Kurev. It could definitely happen a couple times. You learn that combo. You learn the counter to it. But that is too valuable of an ultimate, staring down at a team in basically just a valley by themselves to waste without trying to get rid of that ultimate first. It was just an overstep. Things will happen. What can he do? Well, Kurev responds with a kill on the Zapto. It seems like they're going to go down anyways. And the good news is he's chosen 3 of them. So he's actually got another one to spare. Opting for the multiple but smaller ultimates. And that's going to be the big win. NIP take it with ease. A little bit of Sparrow action. Said might have missed the first one, but I'll see you for round 2. Kurev certainly living up to where he needs to play.
We're talking about NIP from the very beginning and Kurev's mentality and getting ready for today's matches. NIP has definitely come to deliver. Already taking game number 2 here on Broken Moon and already showcasing what they're able to do, getting a good amount of KP. And I also want to highlight too, I believe it was Villainous that I got down within top 5. They were popping off that game. They were lighting up the kill feed. That's another one of our squads that we highlighted that needs to do well today. I think they finished with like 13 KP.
Yeah, I mean, Villainous is in 18th place right now. Fusion is in 16th. For those trying to keep track of all this stuff, you know, top 16 are going to go to midseason playoffs. That's a trip over to EWC, and that's a big, big deal. But top 20 are going to make it into tomorrow. So Villainous, you know, with Team Orchid behind them, with Citadel Gaming behind them, with Luminosity Gaming behind them, those are 3 teams right there that have a better day than you, and they're jumping you almost in those statistics. It is not that far-fetched to think the Villainous know if we don't perform today, we may not even make it to regional finals. So a big moment for them. Kind of cut short a little bit by Fusion, but they, you know, will be happy with the 5th place as well, Vicky, as NIP take the top spot with 22 overall points. Villainous right behind.
We highlighted that Villainous had no issue getting into the late game. Yeah, they didn't get the dub, but so many different second place positioning and as well as getting KP. Now we're showing, or we're being showcased that Villainous has the potential to get the KP that they need. And now on top of that, the placement here after that game number 2.
Yeah, I mean, 2nd place overall in the lobby in terms of points. That's really what you have to pay attention to at the end of the day. You know, 2nd place in the match does kind of tell a little bit of a different story, but it doesn't matter. They were able to get it done. Bucks, Gyozi, Cheekies, you gotta love it. And they are certainly playing like they have something to play for. Overall, Kurev, Vayne, and McLovin continue to be a threat. CTE stay on top after that big win in game number 1. NIP right behind them as they command game number 2. Vicky with 100 Thieves, Fusion, and Villainous here in our top 5.
And LG being able to sneak even extra points right there too allows them to be in that top 28th spot if they want to compete in the regional finals, but they want to get more than that rain day. We have to see what they bring to the table for game number 3 as we move on to Broken Moon on the other side of this break.
さあ復活のクレイジーラ君チャンピオンになるか。
さあリブ
三
ート
井どもえの対決ではありますが、リブート
CR はうまくキノトロップの上取り切りましたね。
キノトロップとのファイトになります。落としている。しかし一時交換。さあキノトロップに対して
1v1 ですかね。
1v1 のファイト。さあクレイジーラ君キノトロップが勝ちにはそこを取り切ったアルネム。立体的に車線を伸ばしてきています。ドスコインパクトが先に倒れます。残りはタイダ蘇生に成功しますが、サクと2枚です。 3v2 サクが落とされて残りは 2v1 挟み込みました。エンターフォース36。
早めにリドル取り切りたいですね、エンターフォースは。
2チームずつリジェクト RRX エンターフォース36。ただメルトステに落ちる。 RRX が車線が取っている。リドルオーダーがこれ全滅です。ただエンターフォース36まだ3枚生存しています。リジェクト1枚打った。 RRX 全滅。さあここは最後エンターフォース36。そして残りは2チーム。
エリアはキノトロップが圧倒的有利ですね。
はい。
ただボルトが落とされている。
ただここは TI あるか。
2v1 ですが TI の方が
体力状況が
体力少ないです
芳し
ね。
くはありません。ただキンヘルがここで生きたか。2枚で襲いかかります。 TI 見事なチャンピオン獲得。7レも伸ばしている。0は松崎横に展開していきました。ジュスナがそこを見ている。リドルオーダーが先に倒れます。残りは3部隊。エンターフォース今日本日3度目のチャンピオンに大きく弾みをつけている。残りは2部隊取り切りました。エンターフォース
下側全部キープしたいところではありますね。
はい。 TI エリアが狭い。先に出る。しかし上を取った。リドルと TI が当たるか。下にいるのはクレイジーラク。
一気に降りてくるとかなりごちゃごちゃになる可能性が高いです。
リドルはアーマー状況が良くない中で TI とのファイト。
てなると CR がだいぶフリーになってますよ。
さあリドルが先に落ちました。さあ落ちてくるところクレイジーラクーンが取り切った。
Sony InZone, the official monitor of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, everyone. NIP coming off of a fresh win as I welcome back Jamerson. It's been great action all the way around, but also some surprising underperformances from squads that we were expecting to be pretty consistent within 2 games back-to-back were not. And that squad specifically for me, Jamerson, is VP.
Yeah, in particular, you know, VP is a fantastic squad when it comes to zone pulls coming their way. These 2 last games had zones that they should have had priority on, but they seemed a little bit slower on the rotate. In the first game, when it did pull down all the way to Atmo, they had a decent spot. They were doing a great job of really keeping that side of the zone clear. Unfortunately, a lot of teams did end up rotating into them. In the second game, I don't know exactly what happened to them there, but not being able to convert. They usually get top 5s when they get zone pulls like this. It's not, of course, zones landing on top of them. That's where they have like almost like a 90% conversion rate. But yeah, regardless though, they're still sitting in the middle of the pack right now, 11th overall. So this isn't the end of the day for them. I think Stormpoint is where we're really looking for them to have a standout day. But for other squads, I mean, this was a great moment for NIP. Again, it's weird to say that they're middle of the pack team right now because they are 9th overall, but getting this win will definitely cement them in the top, I think, 5 if they have a really good day today.
Yeah, you know, what really helps in all of this, too, is the fact that the other remaining squads in this lobby, the other 2 squads, where I believe one was a duo, the other one had, oh, actually, both squads, I think, were a duo at one point here, too, right? So NIP not only having the high ground over AG, but not even giving up that space just in case. LG still having that one member over to the other side here before all gamers had gone out. But NIP still holding their positioning, just waiting for the rest of these games, for the rest of the lobby just to go to them before finding that last straggler from LG.
Yeah, NIP were able to take that northwest position very early on, and then AG moved in with that Watson composition, playing into that crevice, right? And we've seen similar areas like that across different maps, right? If you're looking at Harvester, right, there's a spot like that where you play into the crevice. You're basically playing for second at that point. So AG understood what they were in. For LG, they were just hoping that there were trades at all, right? Nocturnal was just watching consistently, waiting for a trade, but nothing ever happened. But luckily for him, he was able to at least survive until top 2 for LG. And these are all very consequential moments. In particular for LG, they were sitting in 21st, but they're only leading CTE and OMiT at the beginning of the day by 1 overall point. And right now, OMiT have been slowly adding on the points game by game. CTE with that win in game number 1 make things very scary. So even though LG kind of sneaked their way right now into 20th overall, there's still so many teams behind them that can catch up. Unleashed, Leave No Witnesses, Corinthians, even Most Loved are all within reach if they can win on the day of overtaking so many of these squads.
Yeah, if I was LG right now, I'm looking at OMiT and I'm sweating up a little bit, trying to memorize exactly where they land here, making sure maybe depending on these circle pools, cut off their rotation. But first off is at hand is NIP currently after their last win are going to be able to get information on where this next zone pool is too. And considering the fact that they're already here on the edge of that zone here, I have too much of an issue looking at where the zone pool is going to be. Over to that south side, another Atmos station zone. Okay. Most Love, though, they were basically forced out of their own respective POI, and they have a ring console. So noting that, hopefully being able to iron out what went wrong after that first game, where we also saw a very similar zone to this.
Yeah, but the difference here is that this one pulls much further south. We saw in game number 1, a lot of teams taking a pit stop over at Terraformer, right? This time around, everyone knows you need to get into Atmo. And if you could try and pull towards those platforms all the way to the south, possibly could be a great place to play. Again, this is a third opportunity. VP, you need to try and convert this into a top 5 for Most Loved. We'll see if they can hold on. A lot of teams making that early movement. You can see CTE, 100 Thieves, LG, Unleash, all moving. Even OMiT now coming in from the Hazmat Tunnel. You were wondering, LG and OMiT, how is LG going to avoid OMiT? Well, it's pretty difficult too because they're at Terraformer while OMiT come out from Hazmat Tunnels, but it does seem like they've largely kind of avoided each other. Now, as the teams start making the scramble into Atmos Station, we'll see who starts turning around early to try and stop a lot of these teams from getting in early on. You can see Leave No Witnesses actually trailing Fusions, going for that evac tower. And with white armors, luckily for them, Leave No Witnesses don't want any say in this. They want to take early position if they cut them off in this fight.
It's been so enjoyable to also see the legend compositions that different regions opt for depending on the playstyles of these specific regions. Wraith being the most picked legend for today's game, or rather this game specifically, with 11 players on Wraith. CTE looking to get that reset though, are able to bunker down, utilizing these cat barriers from inside of the building. Chase Mob holding a different angle, but saying that the door just got blown out right before his eyes. He's forced to also reposition. Catwalk called in here from Cruel Buckle, gets a few shots in here with the Volt, also lacking of some energy ammo as he only has 63 bullets in the reserve.
They didn't end up getting a Renock, but it doesn't look like they can chase after right now. There are a lot of teams starting to move into the area. As you can see, so much early rotation out, but it's gonna be a reset from everyone here. And for CTE, again, they're trying their best to survive into the late game. Even in game number 2, we saw rotation all the way out towards, I think it was like Dry Gulch or something. They took a really weird rotation when they saw that there was a lot of friction on their rotate. For CTG now, though, getting a knock onto Riley. We'll see if they chase after more of this.
Did Riley not hear them trucking along? We know Newcastle gets pretty loud. Those footsteps are very hard to miss here, but holding another angle. Citadel move up. Sentinels in some trouble. In the feed too, Verhulst looking like Legolas is able to get that knock onto Sykes, and Citadel are looking to try to get the revive here onto Maeve.
Yeah, this is the thing about a lot of these early rotate teams, right? Because the weapon meta now really does actually benefit those teams that go for the early rotates. You've got the 30-30s, you've got the G7 scouts. you're seeing so many kills coming out from on the other side of the ring. And so you have to be careful when you're taking these fights in the center zone. You don't have the same kind of freedom that you would have in like EMEA, where in that zone 1 closing, you have about 2 minutes to try and fight and really solidify your position. Here, every single spot is hard fought for, and you have to do it quick, and you have to do it without any losses. Luckily for a lot of our squads though, you know, we still have the new castles in play. You got the resets, and they're able to just capitalize off of that. And so it's just a complete reset in the middle of the map right now over at Atmo Station. But for Orchid, they're playing on the edge here on the north side of this next zone. Looked like they were trying to gatekeep Fusion, and they have been successful at it.
And looking back too, with OMiT still being in that northern building of Atmo Station, Fusion now forced to wrap around through the eastern choke. Very quick here from Luxford. Be able to delete the tracker dart here before seeing they're gonna be able to coexist for now, being on that low ground here. We saw something very similar in game number 1, and over to their side, aside from CTE Unleashed, all gamers isolated in the southern east side of that next zone, and LG also isolated by the zip lines actually over to the south side of Atmo Station.
Yeah, right now it's a pretty even spread across this next ring, right, of teams coming in. So there's no real huge pressure point. It is slowly building up on that western side. Particularly looking at like Leave No Witnesses, 100 Thieves, and NIP, and it's so interesting because they're playing the exact same positions that they played in map number one when we had the same similar pull. For LG though, it looks like they have a lot of pressure alleviated here in the southeast. For FURIA though, they have been slow on the rotates here. They've been fighting some engages, small little fights. We'll see if they run into another one. We do have Virtus.pro coming out very slow out of Bionomics that are running into Fusions right now.
Wonder how the journey is going too for Sentinels, as that one solo is still alive right now in the lobby, looking to revive their teammates. Shopify were also pretty deep outside of zone, and we highlighted VP now moving up. Sees that they're going to take that portal right behind them. Served on a silver platter is January. Got melted on the initial engagement from VP here. And now Zach, looking over to the side after Lou was able to get that finishing blow onto January, are going to be able to take that KP and run with the extra loot.
I think one of the differences here for this fight is that I'm pretty sure they were not playing the ballistic in game number 2. So when they took that early fight in game number 2, they were up against a ballistic on the other side. So you're talking about having the auto reload. You're talking about having the movement speed that they didn't have in the team fight. This time around, they do have that. They'll use that to their advantage. We'll see if this translates into a better position for them. At the very least, slowing down one other squad coming from the eastern edge will be huge. But they still have to deal with FURIA to their back. LG playing that southeast side. FURIA ends up getting a knock onto Madness, but that is with the 30-30. And looking at the mini-map, yeah, it's pretty far off. We'll see if FURIA can actually punish that.
Early spot here too on the outskirts with VP looking at FURIA and Fusion waiting for them on the other side of the choke. This is going to be a difficult rotate here. Unless FURIA can make magic happen. You already see Madness in position inside the drone to get information while he was already in the animation to pop that shield bat to save even more time after getting that knock here too, following up from what Noct was able to provide. Slayer going down first here. FURIA now get the KP that they need, and now this also forces VP back to get pinched by LG, who add on to the damage, finding Lou as that last member for VP, and it's going to be inevitable to see FURIA versus LG here.
Yeah, Nocturnal pokes his head out on that raid. Being really aggressive to try and find that final kill, and that is an important kill for them to pick up, not just because of the KP and the ramifications that have, but just because of the position that they're playing off of. I was talking about seeing this ring pull further south than we had in game number 1, and it's Most Love and LG playing off the platforms on the southern side of this zone. And so it's going to be important for them, both of those squads, to really keep it clear here. And so LG poking their head out there, really important. We'll see. All Gamers is also in that general vicinity. For Shopify Rebellion, though, they're working their way in all the way on the western side. It's Corinthian Esports on the other side of this fight, poking across with a 30-30. Koifel does have that Tempest ready to go if they want to get aggressive on this fight.
And I knew with that mother load here too. And back to back here. They don't want to expend too much though. Getting pinged in the distance by that 30-30. There's that Tempest, as you mentioned, trying to utilize the speed boost to avoid getting hit while also prioritizing their rotate. You could see with round 2 closing in, they would rather just wrap up a round, get into a way better spot here for the rest of Shopify, because we know that this squad has no issue taking their time to rotate from from the depths within the zone. And Sentinels, after their reset, are also making their way outside of quarantine zone after they took their time to finally get both members up.
This is a really tough spot for Shopify Rebellion, but for FURIA here, now with the zone closing in behind them, they have to deal with Citadel Gaming, who are getting tagged by Fusion from across the ways, and they're looking for a moment, clearing out one of those cat queues as they continue to push forward. Mother load along with the EMP on in, knocked now, trying to find an opening here, but unfortunately the walls are there, slowing things down. FURIA will go ahead and continue to advance.
Honestly, with that EMP, it looks like maybe putting down that barrier right in front of the wall, but I was expecting with that EMP that it would stop the Energizer wall right here. It's still active here, eating that nade, and FURIA backing away, popping in the shield bats. They did a good amount of damage here onto the squad on the other side, being able to get some help over by AG2. FURIA finished them off. Citadel gaining out of this fight with Fusion not getting fully involved, but Team Orchid also looking to see where FURIA's positioning is going to be once they're forced out of the choke.
Shopify Rebellion are rotating in behind Corinthians right now. Remember, they've already popped their Tempest. They do not have the extra movement speed. They're going to try to take to the skies here, and it looks like they'll avoid a little bit of the fight on the ground, but they still have a huge fight ahead of them. Sentinels playing on the other side of this one. You've got Corinthians who can now just wait things out, and it might just be a war of attrition here for Shopify Rebellion, who will eventually just go down when they run out of meds.
That's an even better position for Sentinels when they were trying to get ahead on the rotate, when they were trying to exit out of quarantine zone. NIP, Kuriv having the bow check, being aware of the team that's right in front of them here. Also looking at Corinthians for right behind them while holding a split position where 100 Thieves are holding the inside of the building by the other side of the zip line. Corinthians in a difficult situation because right behind them fighting in zone is still Shopify and Sentinels.
Oh boy, 2 separate fights actually taking place here, but unfortunately, you know, for Shopify Rebellion, all the action's coming their way. 2 knocks, that's going to be Koi and MT down. Sentinels backing off just in time. They need to heal up. The ring actually doing a decent amount of damage to them. This will make it a little bit easier now for them, not having to worry about their back. Ahead of them, though, they got Villainous playing further north on that choke, and I believe Villainous just picked up the mythic crate for themselves. Leave no witnesses. Getting sent on by 100 Thieves. Verholt already has that Tempest popped. Leave no witnesses are trying to wait this one out. They think we have a Wraith portal coming down for Leave no witnesses, and they're just going to go ahead and completely avoid this fight.
Oh, I wonder if they were able to collect whatever they needed from the Evo harvester that was right there right before they dipped out of that portal. Teams flying in from above. Currently got SCC Corinthians now finding themselves on top of that roof. The Stinger Bolt activated here, now playing off that low ground though. NIP, McLovin felt it a bit before jumping in. McLovin was able to get 2 knocks now.
Yeah, NIP just had this advantage, of course. Situationally, they were all set up in different high grounds, isolated out 2 members, and just dealt with them handedly. And now they're keeping that western side of the map fairly clear, and it becomes an easier rotate in when they were going to have to deal with a lot of teams here. Now for 100 Thieves, though, they have to deal with Leave no witnesses proper, who were able to cut them off with that Wraith portal, avoid the fight with a Tempest, by the way, that was used in that. So Verholst doesn't have it available for this one. They will just go ahead and back away, find a small little cubby to work off of. Verholst, though, might fall here. He can only take 1 ring tick damage, and he gets it just in time.
Clenching, but he knew what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was able to do to wrap around, but everybody from 100 Thieves are just 1 huge nade away from getting knocked, and now moving up and not wasting time, taking advantage of this opportunity is Leave no witness, sending it onto 100 Thieves, even with that red helmet, backing away, not trying to overextend in case there's a third party in the distance who could pelt them with these long-range weapons as you're currently seeing in the kill feed.
Yeah, NRG from inside of Atmo were able to find an angle there, and there it is. Thank you, production. Nades out from Sykes. We'll see if they can connect with this one, as it looks like Villainous just got a respawn on the northern side. I believe It was snipes out from OMiT that were able to get that at the very least. Corinthians themselves are able to go for the full reset now. We'll see if they can use that to actually push onto OMiT. OMiT are kind of spread out here. There's an opportunity now for Corinthians to come in as a full 3, jump on top of them. For NRG though, they need to start moving. We got 17 seconds until zone starts closing in, and there's a lot of teams around them. You got Unleashed, you got CTE, Most Love coming in for the south side, and of course, Leave No Witnesses will be rotating in from the north. For NRG, if they don't move now, this could be over. For Leave No Witnesses, they have no choice but to move forward.
And they lost out on that one member you mentioned too from OMiT, unfortunately, after playing a little bit split here too. Seeing that there is a respawn beacon right there, they can try to res him, get his box right back at his feet. Survey beacon also activated in front of Leave No Witness, missing out on that Kraber shot. Ooh, but he heard me. I had to prove something real quick, getting the quick 150. Also, NIP in your feeds, being able to get that knock onto NRG. 13 squads left. It looks like OMiT were able to get that res earlier on, too. As you can hear it, CTE do get eliminated. Gets another Kraber shot. 3 bullets left here for Blades.
Yeah, Leave No Witnesses, after getting that mythic, are really able to convert off this one. That Kraber creating huge opportunities for them, but now they need to take some moments to try and reset. Oh my god, look at all the teams coming in from the north side right now. About 5 teams on the scramble. Blaze is gonna try and hit that Q. Timmy is there, and it looks like they might be able to just get into the edge of the zone. Blaze trying his best, and his team will be able to survive, but just barely. Zell ends up falling here, but they have a small corner to play off of. Now Rena Tricky ends up falling, but they're safe. They're safe for the reset.
It was like 7 teams that were moving in from that north side with the attempt on getting that res. You see the portal being right there too. Skittle Kicks is literally one shot here too, with the rest of AG holding the different corners. Sentinels neighboring that inside the same building as them.
OMiT still alive though, and I think they're up as a full 3 currently. Sentinels now having to deal with all gamers above them. They've got some time to work with. 40 seconds here. It's a full send on the fights, but they've given chase to all gamers and finish them off. Sentinels now clearing out this side, but they've got a third party laying in wait. It's Villain is pushing forward.
And that was good timing too, with Villas now moving up from the other side here. Gonna be able to hold onto high, and with a PK, you want to try to take these fights close range is even better for you, but Cheeky's falling low, force it back away. Gilzy being the only one here up alive and healthy, looking to try to reset. Luckily they are on the catalyst, so this works out great.
10 seconds for the reset. They need to heal. They need to get him up fighting fit, and they need to hold the line as Sentinels are trying once again. EMP comes in. Chickas tries to hold it here, but it looks like Vukes will just go down once again. Gyose taking a lot of ring damage here, might just fall as Chickas will try and rat this one out. Sentinels pick up some of that. Unleashed falling as well, and it is so many squads just falling to the ring right now. 7 squads remaining as Orchid now controlling the north side. We got Leave No Witnesses still having to walk forward, but it's gonna be up to Blaze with that port to try and get them in. They're taking so much ring damage.
6 squads left now too, trying to make a play as Team Orchid move up. Leave No Witness move up. Sentinels then move up from the north side. It is chaos as this northern squads have to collapse on one another, trying to stay alive. Is Luxford. Rambo being right there, finding a corner, trying to pop that shield back, but Luxford needs some help. The P2020 can only do so much through this cat wall as well. Sentinels using it to their own advantage. Let the Devo sing in their hands as Team Orchid get eliminated.
It's Sentinels, NRG, Most Loved, and LG in this final circle. But for NRG, it is just their Wraith trying their best to survive. Never mind, Timmy will fall. It's the final 3 here. And this is what I was expecting for this squad to go deep into this zone, go all the way down towards these southern platforms. It was LG on the southeast one. I believe Most Loved took the southwest one, and then from there they just held on. There was no pressure whatsoever. LG alleviated a lot of that one. We saw in that mid game, keeping VP out, keeping the other squads moving in from the from that southeast side, and then, well, for every other team, they just kind of piled up on the northern side. That's why we retreated to the killing fields that were there in Atmo.
Can you imagine seeing all that chaos from LG's perspective? Sitting happily on this high ground? Like, dang, what's going on over there? What a mess. Thankfully, we weren't invited to that party. Instead, we're looking to hold onto high ground here. And they have the weapon loadout to do so as well. You see, holding these different angles here with Naughty. Having that 30-30, Sentinels forced to look first at Most Love. LG are not going to be moving So the zone closes in right behind them. Nice shots coming in from Loader with this 30-30 after calling in the Tempest as well from Carter.
Yeah, this is going to be a difficult catwall for LG, but they at least have it. And now it looks like Sentinels are going to try and full commit onto Most Loved right now, and it's all up to LG to try and finish this one off.
Go now. Riley being first to take it out. Loader, though, with these R9 shots. He was frying. Most Love get eliminated. And now it is time for LG to clean up what was left on aisle 3. They're your Game 3 winners here on Broken Moon.
Not only are they the Game 3 winners, now they have overall 33 points. So very, very pleasing at the end of the day for my OCD brain. But LG, they just bought their time. And again, with Nocturnal on that Wraith, you got to see how aggressive he played on in the early and the mid game. And that's kind of like classic Nocturnal that I love to see when he was going in for those third parties, pretty far off from his squad, but he was on that Wraith. He's got that experience. He knows the limits to really be able to push with that Wraith. And that kind of pressure alone really was the biggest contributing factor to their win here in this game.
Yeah, also the fact that we noted where their positioning was from the very beginning part of the game. That goes hand in hand with the fact that not only did they win, they only secured 6 KP, but that's great for them. They played into their strength for that final game on Broken Moon. Sentinels, though, they came in swinging that third game, securing 14 KP.
Yeah, you have to remember that LG come from Terraformer and VP come from Bionomics. So VP should have had the priority on that position. They should have been able to take that, but LG just moved a little bit faster. I don't know what happened with VP on that rotate, but LG were able to isolate that one out. Great job. Again, Nocturnal, one of the best IGLs, I still say, hands down, especially when it comes to late game ring calling. He called it from ring number 1, got them there. I mean, it was a pretty easy trip, right, coming up from Terraformer, but they were still able to notice that and take position there. Now, of course, they don't get as many kills, right, because they were so deep in that pocket, but every single point matters here, especially with so many teams on the bubble.
There's so much to break down, too, just off of LG's performance in that game alone. In the overall standings, they've jumped on top of VP, which highlights that VP's early success within Pro League, you know, been faltering a bit. They could get the KP, but they haven't been able to get those placement points, as we keep mentioning before. Looking at the series results, and now LG leading the pack, but not by much. That gap is so small here. You can separate it by a pixel, as Sentinels are right behind them with 31 points. Wanting to break down the action, though, I want to bring back Rain Day to talk about the action that we just saw within that third game.
You know, a huge moment here for LG, guys, as they're trying out this new roster, Nocturnal, figuring out how he's going to look without Hodsick, without Fun, and going into now his new journey of deciding what he means as a pro to this LG team, who have, you know, been a mainstay for so long, but their identity has shifted. Is this a new identity? This is a big, big moment if they can keep it that way. Like you mentioned, Vicky, excuse me. Woo, wow, allergy season.
Bless you.
Thank you. But, you know, I just want to wait for the close-up till that happened. You know, LG specifically, as it stands right now, 16th place is where they would be. That's more than enough to get the job done at regional finals and try to keep improving on that in order to make it to mid-season playoffs. Would certainly love to see it, but I'm not a pro. We watch the pros, but I'd love to hear a pro's take on what they're seeing so far after 3 on Broken Moon, and that's why I decided to treat you all with the man Crook from Twisted Minds, sitting in 6 right now, sitting pretty, no longer having to work this weekend, so taking it easy. Crook, welcome back. You got the jersey on. It's good to have you here, man.
Hello, good to be here.
You know, Crook, I don't know. Did you get inspiration from the little guy behind you in your camera? Is that what you decided, or did he get inspiration from you? I'm just noticing the similar.
I definitely got inspired by him for sure.
Yeah,
my main inspiration.
Like a smart guy. Oh, totally. You know, Crook, I want to obviously walk through that last zone with you. You guys have been really successful this split. You've been doing a lot of things right, especially in zones. Walk me through how LG comes across this one, and then just what you saw overall in terms of the dynamics between these teams in this last game.
Yeah, I mean, LG just had the whole entire zone to control to themselves. They had the whole high ground of the building. It was really much needed game for them for their split, so I'm really happy for them that they were able to get that game across.
Looking at this too, you know, there's a couple of teams on the bubble. How do you feel about being in a position like this on the bubble? For you guys, does this give you more energy, or is this something that you want to avoid at all costs?
Definitely something we want to avoid, you know. We've been in like weird situations to split where like we've been doing good and we've been doing bad. Like we haven't really been that consistent, so we want to really like in regional finals just show as much as we can. You know, I'm pretty sure we're like confirmed regardless for EWC, but definitely want to put a really good performance in for the last day of the split in regional finals.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about LG, you know, in 22nd right now or something, trying to make it in. If you guys aren't confirmed in 6th, well, let's stop the broadcast right now. I'm pretty sure you guys are going. But I do want to ask you this question. You know, you guys seem to know Zone so well. We had Al talk with us a little bit at the Open. He said, you are somebody that knows the Zone so well. It allows him to open up his play and be the player that he can, which we know, flexing, making plays, making moments, but you always seem to get them in the right positions. That's why he had so much faith on you guys in the final day. What is it about your process that allows you guys to continually find yourselves in successful spots?
One of the things that's helps out a lot, like so much throughout the split, is definitely been like HUD-SIC. HUD-SIC has really been ingraining in my brain that every zone, you just go zone by zone. Like you don't take it, like you don't try to do too much. Like if like we've been doing like too much in the beginning of the split and it really cost us. And then like during the LAN for like ALGS Open, like the whole time, like every single zone, we just didn't try to do too much. We just waited for the zone to play out. Then we just played our game off of that. So that's really like been like the main success.
It's great to see that synergy coming into play, man. Well, shout out to HUD-SIC as well. I said his name once, and then it's happened again. I mean, I'm waiting for a third time here. I haven't said HUD-SIC in a few weeks. So, okay, all right, HUD-SIC, we got you. You guys are doing great. I want to now, you know, get into the conversation, Crook, because you seem like you are, man, just ready for our segment that we love to put our pros through. Our hot takes, where you guys give us your spicy hot takes on all things Apex Legends or ALGS. It's up to you. So Crook, walk us through. What is your hot take? You're gonna have about 40 seconds or so to prove your point. Let's go. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so my main hot take right now is that the Recon like Legends definitely need some adjusting. I think that Crypto and Sparrow have like a really big gap in between the other characters, and that really needs to see them like buffs. Like, cause like Sparrow and Crypto can both hit like beacons from really far away, and then the other ones, like you have to be close to the Recon scan to actually hit it. So it's like a detriment to the other characters, and there's no reason to like play like Vantage or Seer or anything like that, just because like they don't have the ability to be fast and like make the pace of your game like really fast compared to the other characters is like the main thing. And like that's pretty much it, really. It's just like buffing like the other Recon Legends.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. It's 2 broadcasts and 2 Seer buff requests. What is going on? What's happening around here? Who has gotten into these pros' minds? Crook, that's pretty hot. Vicky, you know, is that too spicy?
I don't know how I feel about Seer. I'm totally biased take, but like what Crook is talking about is so facts, because you're gonna have Crypto, you're gonna have Sparrow out here remotely hit these beacons. I know you can see that for the other like Recon Legends, but Bloodhound needs help. Like you have to implement something that these other legends provide, where their other kit is so strong that they don't need these remote scans. But then you have like Seer, Bloodhound, and like Valkyrie, Vantage doing their absolute best, but crying at the same time.
Jamerson, I don't know. We haven't had a Sparrow season yet. We're upon it right now. Bloodhound, Valkyrie, they've had their season. Seer, they've had their moments. Is it their time? Do you agree with this or not?
I mean, if Sparrow can shoot an arrow to get the ring scan, why can't Vantage snipe console as well to get the scan for themselves? You know, just let them do it. We haven't really seen
let the bat have a gun.
Very, very niche compositions, and this was like maybe 3 years ago too. So yeah, Vantage definitely needs something at the very least. I don't know about all the Recon Legends, but at the very least, I'd like to see Vantage with something.
You know what, Crook? This is a hot take. I totally disagree. Let Sparrow have his time. Stop trying to get all these other Recon Legends back. We cast enough of them. I know you want to not have to stop at the beacon while you're running around, but so what? That's part of the job, buddy. Okay, good job, though. Good, hot, spicy take. I appreciate it for having fun with this here. You know, Crook, being a good sport, we want to also introduce you to another segment where we ask the chat some questions they might have for you. You guys have been successful. You've been all over the map here, representing a great org. You're going to be at mid-season playoffs, barring some inevitability, some crazy things. So we want to hear what people have to say and think about you. So let's go ahead to it. All right. The first one here coming up, a Shrubby Shrubby Baby 8. All right. I always love how chaotic SR's comms are. May sound chaotic, but it works for them. How you feel about, Shopify Rebellion's comms? Do you think chaos is good, or is that the spell of something that could be bad in the future?
Our comms are almost like to the point where you can't even understand if we're speaking English. So I think it can work. It can definitely work. There's a lot of times where you watch back our VODs and we're just like, how did we even understand what each other were saying here? Because we just have no idea. We all speak so fast. You're locked into the source code. Like mainly me and Enemy just speak so fast that Mac doesn't even understand what we're saying sometimes. So it's like, okay, let's do that.
When you speak so fast and you mumble, basically he can act like he's hearing you guys, but just do what he wants to do anyway. He's like, oh, yeah, sure. Okay, let's move over here. I'm fighting this guy. Okay, now let's go to the next one. We've got somebody else who wants to chat with you. Chat, what do you think? Let's go. Bring it up. Oh, Grizzle Brand 357. I think the names are my favorite part here. What if the winning team was immune to legend bans for the next game? Thoughts? Oh, a little bit of prize awarded on top of the cash, on top of the glory. You get to choose whatever legend you want, so you can still play that character. Interesting thought. How do you feel about that, Crook?
I don't know. I feel like you just get targeted so hard. Every team in the server would know who you are. I don't even know if I'd want to even pick that character. Everyone's be like, okay, this is Twisted Minds. Let's just go int them. All right.
Just go bully him. No, yeah. I mean, we just got the legend ban system in. We don't need to iterate on it right now. We love what we're kind of already treat to in terms of comps. Sure. Yeah.
It's a fun idea. I like the creativity behind that idea. I feel like we wouldn't have gotten legend bans the way they are if we didn't have some creativity, involved in our esports. So keep them coming, and keep them coming to our pros and to us at Play Apex Esports on X in general. Maybe we'll start a conversation on broadcast without even having a pro nearby. But Crook, thank you so much for being the pro nearby. It's been great to have you along. Thanks for sharing your knowledge and having some fun with us, buddy. Take care, and we'll see you soon.
Of course. Thank you so much.
All right, Crook and Vicky going to take a bit of a break here, Jamerson, as it's time for us to get ready to go into Game 4. Switching things up over to Storm Point. That means familiar territory for a lot of these teams. It also means working with the legends available still to try to come up with a strategy. And to me, this has been on my mind, and I know we've been talking about it from kind of more of these hot take perspectives. But the Valkyrie, really, Valkyrie became the Storm Point legend. And when you look at it, all these legends who kind of are successful, let's say Sparrow, and Crypto's always been that, but Sparrow has his ability to shoot his arrow, get recon information. Maybe he becomes kind of the long range, fast recon legend. Every character who does well tends to have a thing about them that they do. Bangalore, even for a long time, a big factor of her was on Storm Point. Her smokes, her ability to maneuver in that wide open space, make cover where there isn't cover. So what do we feel about any of these legends actually coming back? Is there a play for Valkyrie to be considered? I feel like we're kind of, while we get a lot of flexibility, we really don't ever see Valkyrie in any of these lobbies in North America or EMEA.
Yeah, there are very few niche picks. In particular, which comes to mind is VKG, right? Whenever it comes to open land or lands, excuse me, that VKG are able to utilize the Valkyrie extremely well to basically cut off priority for any other team around them. And they do an amazing job for it. But I think in particular, just because it is such a niche pick, it's what's working out for them. Unfortunately for Valk, I think just with the introduction of the evac towers, that was a huge indirect nerf to her very long ago. So I don't know what it'll take to get Valk back into it. I loved Valk on release. I think maybe reverting some of the booster changes, I forget exactly what they're called, but making the recharge on it not as punishing maybe might change things up for her. But again, the evac towers just make it so much easier for teams to rotate.
Yeah, I want to jump in on that because it's sometimes the best buff is just taking some of that stuff from the perks, putting it in the base kit again, and then allowing those perks to really elevate that character when you get to level 2 and level 3, making it worthwhile to maybe pick them. We'll continue this combo, but first, let's take a look overall drop spots. Anything you notice heading out is obviously LG, Devastated Coast, a team we got to keep our eye on, close to first place and coming off a win.
Yeah, we've seen teams be able to convert off of devastated coast picks often. VP, Falcons all really do come to mind in particular when we do have a lot of these southern pulls, which we did get to see some throughout EMEA, right? We had the launchpad pull in, I think, the final game of the day. You can almost kind of bank on that to try and convert into a top 5 and point for themselves. But for LG, honestly, they're doing immaculately right now. They've been able to navigate into the late game twice off of that central pick, off of Broken Moon. This time around, it'll be a little bit more difficult, but their performance on Broken Moon does give themselves a lot more wiggle room here now in the second half.
All right. Well, I'm ready to sit back, relax, and enjoy this one. Hopefully you are as well on your Sunday evenings if you're in Europe or if you're in North America or just middle of America, East Coast, wherever you are, enjoying the beginning of your Sunday evening. What a day, what a time. And the ALGS right here for your entertainment pleasure. LG coming off a win. We're talking legends. We're talking stakes. LG, one of the real, I think, teams that have the most stakes in here with Nocturnal joining this squad, making the change after the open to get rid of Sorcerer, bring Nocturnal in, and really combine that experience and that IGLing with Naughty and Shubi. It's worked out so far. First place with that last win. Ooh, look at this. Corinthians here. Uh-oh. Setting up a little trap. It's not Halloween, but this could get scary.
It's Villainous on the other side of this one. They see some util being thrown out, and instantly they want to try and punish this one. Unfortunately, was not quick enough. Corinthians taking a page out of OMiT's book there, but they will just go ahead and back away. I mean, they figured, and that was a pretty good read on the lobby to try and play the lurk off of Jurassic right there. But unfortunately, now that does kind of delay them. Villainous are able to get past, or maybe not. Wait, did a tree eat one of those shots? I feel like Ben might have been able to get the knock there.
Ben is so close, and you can tell. I think we've all been there with the Sentinel. He knows where he wants to go. It's the door. Timing and the aim just a little bit off. But he hits that one shot at 158. That's going to cost a lot of shield cells or shield back. Good luck. Good thing that it's early, as the pylon seems to be a hot spot for sure. Corinthians and Villainous already there, fighting a little bit for position. And Villainous going to hold that building or the top of the ridge, where they know a lot of teams from Echo, Coastal, Devastator are going to start rotating. And right there, that's going to be a collapse here. Sentinels, look at that, Jamerson as well, wrapping around. This is definitely getting to be a hot spot here. It's going to be interesting to navigate that.
Yeah, this is one of those difficult zones, right? In that zone 2 read, you still don't know. This could pull to Echo. This can pull down towards Coastal Camp. This can even still pull over to Pylon. You're working effectively, you know, on 33.33 repeated, of course, of where these pulls can go, or it could just go dead center. Never mind, it's 25% across the ways, and then you got the dead center pull that could happen in between Echo, Coastal, and Pylon. But right now, we've got a lot of movement, actually, as teams are starting to work their way into Echo HQ instead. LG have opted into the Echo HQ pull as well. So don't know what's kind of spurring this move from out so many of our squads. NRG could have stayed in Coastal Camp if they wanted to, but they decided to make that move instead. For Orchid Gaming, who have been quietly finding their points across the last 3 maps, really keeping themselves within reach of trying to get a win on the top of the day. They've done a successful job securing at least 6 points per game. And Team Orchid, we were talking about it with production, you know, this is one of those squads we always root for because we just love them so much.
Yeah, great players, great stories, a lot of family in there, a lot of incredible moments, things that would be hard to happen twice that have happened here. Zynon losing a 1v1, that would be hard to happen twice, but it happens. And maybe not a 1v1, maybe a 1.5 v1. All gamers ready to go. Zapdos, Skittlecakes, and dropped. Continuing Shopify Rebellion struggles. This is a team that is literally in the top position alongside Falcons with a match day in hand. They could easily overtake and be the #1 team heading into regional finals in North America. But they've just not gotten it done. They've not found their rhythm yet. And coming off a 6-point match day, I'm surprised, Jamerson. That is probably one of my biggest surprises so far looking at this. What's gone wrong?
Yeah, it's hard to try and call it all out, honestly. all the pieces are there. You know, we're expecting so much more, but sometimes, you know, the stars just have to align, and other times the lobby just does things that you can't really read. So it feels like, you know, it's just kind of getting back into form. And I hate to say it, like that it sometimes does take until the final game day to really get there. But yeah, I think honestly, this is one of those squads. Potential is always there. I never should count them out.
No, and I don't think this is also a team that, to me, if there's a team that's going to take, you know, a day off if there's a chance to do so, I could see maybe that happening with Shopify Rebellion. Not that they don't want to win. It's not taking a jab at them in any way, but it's just kind of saying that they know how good they are. They know how talented they are. They know they're already in a position to not only be qualified, but for mid-season playoffs, but for regional finals, and just be in that lobby. And they know if they're in the lobby, they can win. When you have that much confidence, you know, a la Falcons, you know, a la sometimes 100 Thieves, a la sometimes Shopify Rebellion, you're okay with an okay day. You know, because it happens, and you know that you still are one of the best teams in the world. You just got to play that way.
Yeah. Now a lot of our teams starting to make their way into Echo HQ. All gamers playing off stairs. We know this is a particularly strong spot. If the zone continues pull down to the southeast here for NIP, they're making their way in from the northern side. They are checking their back. They've got Citadel Gaming, and I think McLovin might have just seen them on the rotate down. Yeah, he does. And so now Citadel Gaming, they've got to be careful. But NIP don't have to commit to this fight. They can just continue to try and cut them off here. And it looks like they will go ahead and start moving under a little bit of pressure from PvE, but they'll be fine.
Yeah, those Prowlers never take a day off, do they? Hardest working dinosaur-like creatures in the game, I gotta say. Storm Point continuing to give us a good amount of action to start, but it's all a little bit of the tease. The rising action here before really something occurs, and we hit our climax. 19 squads still remaining, so while we have seen a few kills, a few knocks, only one team has gone down. Actually, no teams have gone down, excuse me, because this is a 19-team lobby, so there has really been a lot of action and a lot of bark, no bite quite yet, Jamerson, which is okay for a lot of these teams. As we take a look now as Ring 2 is about to close at where our Ring 3 zone will be, and an idea of Ring 4.
Yeah, so Echo HQ, definitely the pull. There's still a chance that it pulls out towards where Unleashed are, but for everyone else that have a power position inside of Echo HQ are definitely happy. It's difficult in this particular spot for any team to really control the zones around them. It's going to be a lot of teams just kind of slamming into positions, and you know, you still always have to worry about the wraps from teams like, well, Virtus.pro with the Trident that can come in from the south side. For 100 Thieves, they're going to have to keep an eye out on that, along with OMiT, who are still playing off of Coastal Camp right now. But for the time being, while we're taking this pit stop, let's go ahead and listen with VP to see how they want to navigate this next zone.
Okay.
Holy retards.
I'm gonna get out and shoot them, I guess. I don't know.
We can't.
Cracked one.
Get in and we go now. Get in and we go now. Because only two
Going in,
can
going
do it.
in.
We're good. We're fine. I'm not gonna boost. I'm not gonna boost. I'm not gonna boost. I'm gonna put the car here sideways and just get ready to fight. Play on the right side of the car. I'm gonna bat.
Yeah, remember the spare shit.
Bro, I can't.
We just
The
look for
hitbox.
coastal
Oh,
UAV?
done.
I don't see them.
Yeah, don't forget there's only one team in coastal, so they can kill us too. We need to get to like right here. You know the big rock?
Yeah.
Sir, can you get in?
Make sure you use boost if you can. I'm gonna get out here and heal.
Yeah, I think we get out here and stop. Wait for a boost. They're on that rock. There's one guy on that rock.
Wait, why left? Why left?
Hey, I'm fighting this. I'm fighting our back.
Okay, I'm coming. He's not like swinging. He's just holding here. Right here. Right on this corner.
Someone died?
I think they died.
He might have.
Bro, I think this is a solo, but I
tried to hit UAVs, Zach?
Yeah, he is, but he was by himself on the UAV earlier. No. All three.
Oh, this
All
is
three
no,
on
I
top
can't
of
hit the recon. We need to try to get into coastal, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, we did.
But yeah, it's really tricky. We're gonna try our best, all right? We have 21 seconds left. They have all of coastal themselves. We need to use this team on our right to keep us alive, okay? Coming to me for now. Right on our head. Hopefully they shoot us right on our head. Yeah, I'm gonna try.
I think that team's still there. No, that team's still there.
I'm burning it.
I mean, I can spare ult them, but we need to try to get around. We need to try to get around. We need to try.
Oh, I'm going to Zach. I'm going to Zach.
There's still a team on the left, guys. There's still,
yeah, I keep calming that. We can try to get around.
I'm here, man.
This team's about to look down on us. I can get out wide left and shoot for you. I'm way ahead of you.
That team's wrapping.
In top bowl.
Pop cells. Wait, so don't give him entry, guys. Do not give him entry.
Is there a team back here still?
They're ballistic.
No, they're wrapping.
Okay.
All right, we're good. You guys have meds? Guys, I'm 1 bat 2 cells.
Play up on the staircase on me, maybe? Play up on the staircase on me?
1 bat 2 cells.
What do you think, Zach?
I'm 12, 11 too. I mean, we kind of just need to prep a fight here. We have a solo on us, right? Isn't this a solo on us? Routing?
No, it's not a solo. Oh, is it?
It's like a solo to me.
It's not.
4 hours on the map.
You guys
there's no solos, Zach.
It's a 1 bat 1 cell. 1 bat 1 cell, guys.
Here, I'll give you 5 cells.
Drop your cells.
We're in a tough spot. We kind of just need to win a fight here.
Okay, I'm down.
And then play here.
I have ballistic ult. 40 for ballistic ult.
Yeah, we have to wait for it.
It's really hard to win this.
I mean, we have to try. We can't.
Yeah, we can win it with ballistic easily.
Yeah.
We sort of have to go around to the right. He dropped down. They're pushing us, I think.
Yeah, they dropped ballistic
right there.
What's up? Luke, come back.
Come to me.
Shoot.
They ulted.
No, we're good.
Come to me.
I fuse out to them, guys.
Killing ballistic. I'm killing the ballistic.
I have to shoot this.
Ballistic 1. Ballistic literally 1 shot. I'm going in.
He's above you guys. Crack. We can use it.
Play slow.
Yeah, try slow. We're gonna get 30.
I can't. 1 HP.
Where's the...
Get on the res. Play for the res.
I'm playing for it. Yeah. Hold me. I'm weak, so...
It's a circle with no ult up. We just need to get in the building.
I'm getting inside the build.
Batting in the building. Care for third party. You need to get on the roof and just chill, bro. You can't let anyone into the POI.
Team flew behind us.
Team flew behind us.
Yeah, we'll kill them all in zone close, bro. Look at the zone close.
Play on me.
I'm coming to you.
Right.
Zach, on you.
Yeah.
Slayer, on you inside your build. One, get it.
Nice. I need armor swap.
I think on me. I'm not sure though. I see 2 guys on me.
I'm coming to you, Zach.
Bro, dead.
Crack it.
No, slow, Lou.
He's too late. He already played.
Yeah, no.
I'm with you.
I'm not kidding.
Nice. Good shit, guys.
All right, well, again, we need to play for this corner. There's going to be a team in this rocks, and I'm not going to have spare ult. Do we have any ults at all?
No.
I'm looking for all the cells.
Yeah, I think there's a rat.
Well, Virtus.pro find a way to make it through the chaos and navigate it into a building. That was one of those, Jamerson, that was tricky, kind of like going from our comms here, third person in a novel, to first person. You get to hear all the confusion, all the hesitation, all the maybe nots, but you get to feel just as elated as they do as they finally find a way to reset and get that kill on the CTE push them.
Oh boy, most love though. About to take a fight up against Shopify Rebellion. Laser about to laser them all down. That's 2 knocked. We'll see if he can finish him off, but he'll fall to the ring now. It's Awape up against Zainu, taking a lot of ring damage, and they both will fall. Zainu actually wins out on that duel, but will Shopify Rebellion be able to survive throughout all of this? It does seem like they do. Never mind. The ring will ultimately take him here. You can see now. On the northern side, the fight's not over. It's NIP versus Fusions.
Difficult rotation from Shopify Rebellion. Zainu does well to clean it up, get the extra KP, and get himself into the top 15 to earn that placement point, but it is not the type of day so far Shopify Rebellion we're hoping for, sitting about middle of the pack in about 15th position right now, 14-15. NIP though, McLovin, loving that start. No more resets on the Tempest. That was a change earlier on this week. And so that 45 seconds with the perk at level 2 is all you're going to get. So they're starting to slow down a little bit on this push, or they're going to speed up knowing they've only got a few seconds of time. And a devotion bullet, that was just so close. McLovin is going to pay for it.
Zell with a headshot, finishing him off now. Vayne, though, is in a position to try and punish them if they overextend for this one. So now it's all patience here. Doesn't get the one clip. There we go. Blaze falling. Vayne now trying to re-aggress onto them, but NIP have not reset. Leave no witnesses. Find an off angle there. It's all up to Karev.
He has got to play hero. Now I'll tell you what, he's got that Stinger Bolt. We know where the Watson pylon is, but he's going to be fighting against 3. Make it 2. Well, he's fighting an uphill battle if he ever saw one, in both senses of the word. Hopefully he can get this res here. And I think that just may give Karev a little bit of time alongside NIP. Virtus.pro, as we check back in with them, have lost one, but Lou still alive, hiding behind some of those knockdown shields. Jamerson, will the mother load buy him a little bit of time to try to get a res off?
Yeah, no team really want to try and peek out from this. You got NRG and Sentinels in the area, but they don't really want to give up their spot. They don't want to over-aggress because they know that they have so many teams still in the area that can take advantage of them. Might come down to 100 Thieves, maybe wide swinging a little bit here as NIP end up falling, leave no witnesses, still pushing forward. Unleashed, though, as a full 3-manner, just absolutely gatekeeping them. It's all up to Azazel, and he will end up falling, bringing us now down to 10 squads remaining. Unleashed has that north side of the zone clear. VP ultimately get cleaned up. AG find that angle onto them. Now, despite the heroics up against OMiT, VP falling, they had a great opportunity to try and get back into this one, but at least they picked up KP along the way.
17th position, 10 points only for Virtus.pro. You can see how hard things are just to try to get in the zone. So while it felt like maybe they were on the right side of this game, certainly we'll be hoping for more with 2 games to come after this one. 9 squads left. Ring 5 about to close. 100 Thieves, Sentinels in a pretty good spot. NRG have the other building, but that's an easy walk into zone, and plus a lot of chaos is about to happen now as people try to descend all of the slopes heading into Echo HQ. A team we talked about earlier, Team Orchid, Hambino on the scout with a devotion in hand and a stinger bolt for an ultimate if things get a little hairy inside. Got to make sure not to hit it into Rambo's pylon, but aside from that, will be a big game changer if they can do it, as Echo HQ becomes the center of attention here in round 5.
Yeah, we got 4 teams basically stacked on top of each other. FURIA, LG. Never mind, AG actually making their move early on, so they're going to avoid a lot of the fighting here and play on the low ground. But for Team Orchid, they have to fight their way through. FURIA ahead of them now. They can try and swerve around with AG actually giving up some space here on the south side. So Team Orchid, we're going to take the path of least resistance throughout all of this and allow FURIA to play to their backs. 400 Thieves, though, they're just trying to clear this one out, getting a knock onto one. We'll see if they can find a little bit more.
One of the big elements of this Tempest as well is that it applies, if you do need it, to care package weapons. Nocturnal does have himself a Kraber, but right now the devotion has just proved too valuable, too dangerous to pass up. Newcastle Wall goes down from Shubi, and that puts them in a pretty decent position. They're going to have a lot of angles onto this team who's inside Echo as it stands. Orchid underneath it all. They're going to run into AG, so has to sneak by this, and now it's going to be running into LG. Rambo just trying to do his best to slip and slide his way out of trouble. You see that little car that Virtus.pro left behind, and he sees 100 Thieves up on top as well. There's a pylon there, but I can't imagine that Rambo is going to have too much time to live again as 100 Thieves realizes it and takes him out here. Verholz with the final kill.
Orchid not able to secure a little bit more placement points for themselves, but again, it's just about those small incremental gains that they've been able to make all series long. For LG, it was a great move to pull to the bottom of this cliff site. Having Sentinels to their top made it very easy to just put your back to this wall and allow Sentinels to deal with the threats behind them. They still have AG keeping an eye on them right now. 100 Thieves, center zone, playing off rock here. And LG will have to deal with NRG. There's an opportunity, though. If Sentinels can bide time, NRG might actually just drop down onto 100 Thieves here. You can see NRG are keeping an eye on Sentinels for the time being. Sentinels are trying to apply that pressure onto NRG, force them down to the low onto 100 Thieves.
Oh, we got ourselves a good one here at the end of match number 4. 5 squads in the mix. Timmy on NRG working with Sykes. He has to dodge that one. Gets clipped, and then Phony gets clipped as well. This is all gamers pushing. They're not going to make it. They'll be blinded a little bit, but they have just the right amount of an idea on where their enemies are. All gamers looking to finish off 100 Thieves, and they will. Zapdo will get the final kill onto Jin Burton. And now AG are in a pretty decent spot. Sentinels going up against NRG up on top. LG waiting this out. Not involved in the engagement. Looking like a top 2's almost secured for them if they can play this right. Timmy goes into the drone, looking to maybe get a little bit of vision on top of that as he stays alive, and all gamers just watching the chaos from afar.
Yeah, NRG tried to just full send it on Sentinels there. Did not work out. They didn't get the entry, and so it's all up to Timmy to try and keep this one alive for as long as possible. In drone right now, LG, they've got Sentinels above them, but they are damaged. All gamers will eventually have to be poke out from this wall, but it looks like they're just biding their time. LG, AG, Sentinels resetting up top. Timmy somehow still
right
alive
there
in the middle of nowhere.
They don't see him. They cannot see Timmy. He is staying alive right now. Boy, oh boy, it's not Saturday night. It's Sunday. But that's a good fever to have if he can keep it up. He hit the shield bat just in time. It's a shield swap. Instead, actually, it's too fast. LG realize it. They want to play for first. They've dropped down to second because Sentinels have been that dominant, but it's all gamers who watched all the chaos and found a way to come out on top.
Importantly, that push by All Gamers Global. I don't know what spurned it, what was the catalyst for it, but being able to just push onto 100 Thieves in that power position, the call that they made, I don't know what made them, of course, push for that rock, but it was the right call eventually, and they got that win. Huge win there for All Gamers Global.
Yeah, it feels like when I look at presence in this lobby, Sentinels certainly, we haven't seen as much of them on screen, but we know we felt them in those final zones. We've seen a lot of LG in those final zones. All gamers as well. Earlier on it was CTE. We've seen early on Corinthians, but really I think that all gamers have had the most impact in this lobby in terms of driving fights, coming out on top, being in good positions, and it's put them in a spot where not only do they get this win here, they're getting rewarded with taking games over spots where you're looking at, 100 Thieves. I mean, they're on this mountain. They've got high ground. Do they make a bad play there? Do they call trying to third party something? Sentinels as well as LG. I mean, Sentinels was fighting NRG earlier on. LG was on the bottom ground, low ground. Could they have waited that out? Did they get a little too greedy trying to think this is the chance that we have? I don't know, Jamerson, but overall, I mean, when you take a look at the standings after this with 4 games played, what's your takeaway as we look at, with Ballistic being banned, now what has to stand between victory for Sentinels and LG and All Gamers, who are all vying for those top spots?
I mean, we have different stakes there, right? For All Gamers Global, they're pretty firmly in the top right now, and especially with a performance like that, they should be more than safe making it their way into regional finals and mid-season finals. But for LG, the stakes are completely different. Right now, it's looking like they're playing old classic Nocturnal, where they're trying to play center zone. They're not taking too many risks when it comes to a lot of these late game positions. They're happy with the second or third place finish because they are continually putting those on. I mean, what is that, like the third end game in a row that LG have been able to place themselves in? And again, it's off of just the more patient play that I think Nocturnal really does bring for this squad.
Yeah, and you can see that there are moments where you have a bad situation or a read that doesn't really put you in the position with, great weapons or things like that, and you don't get a lot of kills. In this last game, while they got second place, still only 1 kill, and that is a surprising element of it compared to the 12 kills, 13 assists for All Gamers. One of the things that tells me is maybe there is a bit of hesitation on what to do. I did notice that when NRG and Sentinels were fighting, there was that, well, should we wait? Do we have the confidence to just let this resolve and know we'll be in the right spot? Should we push? What does that look like in terms of LG finding their rhythm? Well, so far, so good, except in terms of kill points, kind of the anomaly, Jamerson, in our top 4, considering that all the other teams have 20 plus kills. Either way, they're getting the job done here in third place, tied for second with Sentinels, rounding out our first place position.
Yeah, I mean, I think that really does reinforce what we're talking about. They are definitely just playing for placements at this point. 32 placement points to the 11 kill points. It does really harking back to some of the more classic, more reserved style of Nocturnal. And I think when they're in this particular position, when they are on the bubble, and they are being treated with a lot of these rings that have been coming their way, they know that all we have to do is convert into top 3s. And that's what they have been able to do almost, 3 maps in a row. So I'm glad, again, we're seeing the very immediate benefit of having an IGL or someone who can call a ring and late games like this, like Nocturnal, being infused into LG, and it is paying off for them right now. This should if they continue to play like this in the next 2 maps, convert and make sure that they are able to play into the regional finals.
If you're watching alongside us or you have Face It watches as well, you can go ahead out the next couple of games and listen to LG's comms. We might even go into a listen in on our broadcast as well. Would love to see how they're navigating these final zones. They're vying for first place, 2 points behind. Can they do it? What'll happen? 2 more games left in our final day before regional finals coming up after this.
Sony InZone, the official monitor of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, everyone. Game number 4 in the books. I'm coming back here with Jamerson. Got to kidnap you away from Rain Day because all gamers, they take the dub. 12 KP. Also, we're one of the squads running that Crypto Watson composition, holding that position in a great fashion on the outskirts of Echo HQ.
Yeah, what's that, 2 games in a row or 3 games in a row where they're able to really utilize that Watson? I believe, yeah, it was match number 2 on Broken Moon when we had that Terraformer ending, right, where AG were able to, I think, secure 2nd place for themselves. So they are doing fantastically, and honestly, with a position that they were able to earn for themselves effectively, right? With that rotation out from the southeast side, swinging down, taking away that position from 100 Thieves forcefully, that was really nice for them.
And we get to say goodbye to the Ballistic, as Ballistic was the legend that was most picked within that 4th map. So now getting set up for match number 5, the question comes for squads like CTE, considering the fact that they were, I believe, the 2nd squad to go out in that game 4 lobby. They're one of the teams on the outskirts of the top 20 team relegation. So they definitely want to be able to secure the KP that they need, looking at where they and even Team Orchid stand in the overall standing. Team Orchid having a total of 55 total points with 79 KP throughout the course of the split, and CTE being with 52 points and having 89 KP.
Yeah, if it comes down to just that one game being the important difference maker for CTE, it would be crazy because, again, it was match day 7 for them where they got that final win. It was a 16 kill point win for them in match day 7 that really did put them into contention to avoid relegation. If the win here today in game number 1 is the difference maker, that would be crazy. But of course, cherry on top, if they can get themselves into the regional finals would be even better, but they still have so many teams in their way. LG being one of them. Orchid also very consistently putting points on the board basically every single game. So it is a hard-earned one for them.
And looking at the most picked legend for this game specifically, it's going to be the Pathfinder that will be unavailable for game number 6, the final game of the lobby. But Jamerson, you know how much I love game 5 situations, because at this point, a lot of these teams are on the bottom end of the overall standings and maybe even at the bottom half of what this lobby is looking at too for B versus C. So these squads know what they have to do differently now. There's only 2 games left to go. If they have to get aggressive, you have to hold position. If you rather prefer to get those placement points because you could be safe away from putting yourself at risk from getting that KP, then now is the time to do it here.
Yeah, this is a huge opportunity for our winners for AG to try and make that same move down to the south. But for LG, that we were talking about, very consistently putting placement points down. They get another ring pulled down towards them here at Devastated Coast. I mean, Rain asked me at the beginning of the half, you know, what does this mean? Devastated Coast for LG. Well, we know that a lot of rings can tend to pull down here, and LG are going to be able to, or hopefully be able to, leverage that for a second game in a row.
Every time I see zones like this, I always have to give a shout out to my girl Spider Tiff, because whenever her and I usually cast Storm Point zones, they just ends up pulling back to back over by the outskirts of Echo HQ and Devastated Coast. So it always throws me back here, and it's looking like a very similar situation to maybe a little bit more so to that north side here too. But looking at teams like FURIA being able to secure their POI here just over to that south side, having that ring console, Corinthians now making their way to the north away from FURIA, LG and Villainous, more teams, Team Orchid, Leave No Witness, Shopify already getting ahead of their rotate.
Yeah, I mean, we have a similar quotes ring that we had to last ring here, but this one is very clear, right? You need to be on the Echo HQ and Devastated Coast side. We're no longer going to have teams kind of lazing about over at Coastal Camp or at Pylon. It's going to be very aggressive moves to get in. It looks like LG were able to get there. For Sentinels, it seems like they might run into a little bit of friction here, as yeah, it's NRG still at Coastal Camp, but it's Corinthians right now fighting early off the rip for this early position. It's FURIA and Fusions in the area right now, but it does seem like with the Watson setup, they'll be okay.
Helps them out. You can see the survey beacon scan to know how many other teams are within the vicinity. Where can they play from, or rather prevent other teams from moving up in? Of course, with the Trident acting as some makeshift cover, Sentinel's going to be able to get the care pack too on top of it all. And great here, just making their next move on where they want to rotate. But also time to highlight the amount of cryptos that we may have in this lobby too, with a wandering Trident within the vicinity.
Yeah, that was CTE squirting on us. Yeah, squirming on by, and they will not have any of that action whatsoever. But I did like the opportunity there, at least for Sentinels, and they knew that this could have been an isolated fight for them. This is an isolated fight, though, up against NRG, as we take a look at the eastern side of this zone right now. A lot of teams starting to move on, and you can see that we got LG, we got Corinthians. And again, it's about early positioning here. Unfortunately for a lot of these squads moving in so early on, there's not going to be as many opportunities here at Echo HQ and Devastated Coast. Even with the weapon meta the way that it is, just the sight lines don't afford you that opportunity to try and steal away some kill points. And because of how many teams we have stacked on top of each other, we're not going to see some early aggression either. It's really going to come down to a lot of these teams that try to slam onto a side. That will be the big catalyst for a lot of the team fighting.
We talk about OMiT's legend comp. Do you think they have enough support legends running the Newcastle, Lifeline, and Conduit? Very interesting here, but maybe they are cooking up something that I'm not too sure about. As Dia could say, Gordon Ramsay would absolutely be proud if he did play Apex here, but it sounds like the food may be burnt here. Catwall also being called in for Sentinels as they're stuck in the middle of the lake.
Yeah. Luckily for them, the Catwall is going to be enough to just disengage from NRG. And NRG are trying to move to try and cut them off at the very least. They're trying to find the off angles here. Fusions might even be able to look down on them. And possibly even FURIA, who lost out on Riley here, and Carter, and it looks like Sentinels are about to drop as NRG just full swing onto this one. Sentinels are the first squad out here in game number 5.
You know, Energy being a little quiet throughout the day. Yes, they've been able to secure some KP here, but they also had the opportunity to maybe overtake the second seed from Falcons in the overall standings, and currently just not doing enough to be able to secure that just yet. Of course, with these 2 games, anything could be possible here if they want to have that pop-off opportunity. This is how you started off with 18 squads after they were able to get that first wipe.
They're still, of course, like in first place right now, right? And I think the plus 25 would put them over it. But yeah, not having this solid game number 5 is going to make things very difficult heading into game number 6. I mean, AG are right behind them with 43 points, and LG as well, both at 43 points. So yeah, this is a huge opportunity for AG and LG to catch up at this point. But wow. Take a look at this zone. All the teams are staunchly in their positions down there at Echo HQ and at Devastated Coast. We have a big pileup of teams coming down from that launch pad site. Leave No Witnesses, Most Loved, All Gamers, NIP, Citadel, all barreling for that northeast side.
Your Energy right now, and you're able to get info on the teams that are going to be rotating from the south side, the teams that are already situated in Echo HQ with that lone house available over to their north side, and Energy are one of the squads also rocking a Pathfinder. So quick repositioning opportunities and having a crypto to scout ahead too puts things into perspective on how they want to approach this zone, because it's going to be so difficult with the amount of teams that were able to get ahead on their own rotate earlier in the game.
Yeah, one thing that I want to point out is that no one's actually like playing off tree and rock in between Devastated Coast and Echo HQ right there along that mountainside. And I think that does really come down to the weapon meta right now, you know, with so many G7 scouts and 3030s. While it can be a very strong spot with so many teams that can poke you from that angle with the current weapon meta, you just don't play it at all whatsoever. So it's kind of interesting to see how much of a no man's land it is right there in the dead center of the zone right now.
Yeah, and how weapon metas, too, influence their positioning, and you want to sit in aside from where the zone is, too. Zainu being able to get that initial knock onto CTG, and Koi dropping down to try to fully capitalize. Shopify, and taking maybe a little bit too longer, just going to opt to go right back up onto the high ground here. They don't want to take the risk with another squad shooting at them from distance.
Yeah, I mean, for Shopify, they have nothing to lose, right? Like, in second place right now, they've got Energy right behind them, but they're not risking anything at this point. Again, I think just the prestige of being first in Americas is enough to kind of temper a lot of the aggression that we might see typically out of a knock like that. But for Shopify Rebellion, yeah, they are definitely looking to still have 2 solid games here. Game number 5, game number 6. This is definitely a game that they can win. If it pulls away from them, it could be a little bit difficult. They would have loved to have dealt with CTG, but that would have just left themselves open to so many third-party attempts, possibly from Leave No Witnesses, All Gamers, all coming in from that eastern side. Now here, though, with OMiT, they are working their way into Echo HQ. A lot of that has been left open, and so they'll be able to walk freely up onto the upper catwalk of this area.
Triple support composition right here. Devo in RKN's hand, Prowler in the other. From ahead here while they still hold on to the high ground. They're looking to their left after they were able to walk here for free with FURIA, giving up some of that space that we saw them in earlier because they were trying to hold on to that survey beacon that now OMiT is going to be able to get information from. And look at the difference, too, between FURIA's Evil Shields currently after they were situated here very early on versus what we're currently seeing from OMiT, who've been playing a little bit more objective to rotate here.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. There just aren't too many opportunities from inside of Echo HQ to really find the line of sights, to get damage, to try and sneak away some KP. For VP, that was slow rotate in from the eastern side. Right now, they're stuck at launch pad. Got a few teams there on the northeast side right now that are looking to continue to gatekeep them. All Gamers are up there. Leave No Witnesses as well, playing in that area between Launchpad and Devastated Coast. You got Most Loved coming in from the northern end, but I think right now a lot of teams are just on a holding pattern, not really trying to risk anything as they wait for the next zone information, and they'll know that they're pretty much in a decent spot, but they will be forced to move eventually. One team that isn't worried about taking their time is like NIP right now. There's no threat whatsoever on their pylon angle for CTE. They're playing here on the south side. I think they'll be forced out of this position, and they're probably in one of the prime positions to try and sneak a lot of kills from the teams that'll be rotating in from Echo HQ.
And you highlighted NIP. They're by Pollen because they're about to get the Mythic bin, actually. So they're going to be coming out, getting some great loot before making their rotate, either through that north side of the zone. It will be treacherous, honestly, and a Hail Mary evac will not really result properly looking at the way that a lot of these other squads are already situated. We highlighted FURIA before, and of course, with Echo HQ being their POI, that's kind of the inevitable circumstance when you can't play objective and maybe get the KP or damage that you need depending on the weapon loadout that you're forced to rock. We saw them earlier that they were playing off that low ground over to the right side of OMiT. And then other teams like CTE playing on the outskirts of that lone rock over to that south side. Villainous over to their north, already predicting where that next zone pool is going to be.
Well, for CTE, that zone pulls down towards them. They're actually well within it, and so this is a huge opportunity. Playing off the rocks, the safety of the rocks and the Newcastle wall that they have set up to use the weaponry to try and sneak some kills away. It's a little bit difficult because a lot of this fighting is, of course, on that high ground. But eventually, when all the teams are going to be forced to drop down low, there's a huge opportunity for them. All gamers, though, trying to control on this side up against Leave No Witnesses. You gotta watch their back, though. Virtus.pro are coming in from behind them. They need to make this fight a little bit fast. Dropped. Might have seen VP coming in from behind, and now AG are getting sandwiched.
This actually could work out for OMiT, too, if Leave No Witnesses gets pinched in a situation like this. But AG just backing away, not liking that VP, and now wrapped up on the other side of them. This also allows Leave No Witnesses to maybe get involved into the party a little late. And with VP getting the initial knockdown onto Zainu, Shopify now forced to hang out in those boxcar.
Yeah, they're fine, right?
Yeah.
They're up on that high ground. They're up in height. But I'm just surprised that, you know, someone from Virtus.pro, when they have two teams around him, still has the opportunity to knock someone all across the ways. Here for FURIA, though, they're going to be able to pick up a team fight win. OMiT tries to swing around from that south side, and they get absolutely punished for it. FURIA need these points. They have not been performing too well. Here's VP, though, making the push.
That was crazy to see OMiT go down right there, too, when they currently wanted to survive purely because of that better total match score versus Leave No Witnesses. They're still in, and they get eliminated, as we say that, from VP on the other side of that building, but still out-surviving OMiT here alone as VP look ahead at the squads now rotating from that bridge side.
Yeah, they got most loved here, but the fight was so quick. It was so good for them that they don't really have to worry about that. Oh my goodness. Shopify Rebellion helping out most loved now. They've got the man advantage. They can try and finish off Zach Mazer at the very least, but Laser's taking a lot of damage from Lou on the side. Now it's down to a 2v2. We'll see if they can get a little bit more. It's Koi once again, the third party from across the ways.
That 30-30, we knew that they were going to leave out of that box cart with the zip line. Instead, with that 30-30 has been causing chaos, griefing the fight that is happening over here now. NIP slide in. Vayne with the Devo just letting it roar. Oh, looking on the other side, breaking next, though he's forced to reload. Vayne now drops down, but Curve is right there to back him up.
NIP are able to force their way into this. It does allow an opportunity for VP to try and regroup as a two-man. Don't know if they were able to secure the banner and get a res here. Back over here at Echo HQ, though. Got 100 Thieves, FURIA, all stacked on top of each other. LG making their move. Very similar to what they did in game number 4. But for 100 Thieves, they've cleared out a lot of this western side. They've got FURIA underneath them to deal with, and they'll be continually peppered by CTE, who are playing inside of the zone right now.
LG's positioning right now, too. They got the death boxes at their feet, the catwall being called in. 100 Thieves finding their stride this time around. Tony finally getting the KP2 that he's needed. Total 8 KP throughout the course of the day, backing away now as the zone's about to close in. They've already used up that catwall, and they're currently staring down the barrel at FURIA.
Zone's closing in, but this is the slower side of the zone, so they do have a few extra seconds to work with. They're going to start working their way to the north side, dropping right on top of NRG and LG as well. 100 Thieves now about to get sandwiched with the zone closing in behind them, though. They're able to set up with this wall. Verholz has another ready to go as he's holding it down, but it looks like AG are getting into a fight up against Shopify Rebellion on the eastern edge. While this action is breaking down on the west, we'll see who comes out on top. Here's AG making their move with that Pathfinder, but Zap will get knocked. Dropped is down to no HP. Citadel Gaming will barrel ahead and take them out.
Future almost lost that, and he was one right in front of him, but they survive. He survives with 1 HP, and now FURIA stay alive too. 100 Thieves get eliminated. They could not hold it down right underneath before getting pinched.
Now it's LG at the bottom of the stairs right now. FURIA, though, moving past just to reset. Keon needs to hit that bat. You can see LG trying to set up for themselves for NIP, resetting here on the northeast side of the zone. They're fairly free, getting a little bit challenged by Unleashed. Nice little knock there from Karev. As now FURIA, they've got LG right underneath them. They want to finish them off.
These isolated fights from each corner of the zone while it closes in the next 50 seconds. Madness still staring down from the high ground. Catwalk called in from LG right below, but everybody are taking shots at LG, including FURIA, including Citadel, CTE, who are the only team inside that next zone.
Yeah, CTE are looking at this. 2 members are on it this entire time, so I'm surprised no one from FURIA is actually taking damage from that. Madness does get cracked, and they are forced back. Fortunately, though, they're just not able to find that opening to try and knock out LG. It's 7 squads remaining. You can see Unleashed are keeping an eye on them. And this is the biggest thing right now. Because of the pressure from Unleashed, FURIA aren't able to full send it. You can see the whole Newcastle wall being set up. And they can't even peek on over. This becomes a very difficult spot, as it looked like Unleashed might just force all 3 teams to go down here. CTE are continuing to keep an eye on things here, but no real pressure is being applied, and so CTE will just wait things out.
And while FURIA are able to get some of these knocks, they can't give up the high ground just yet. Now that the zone starts to close in, though, you see zipline for zipline from each angle of that zone. NIP looking at Villainous. The NIP holding onto high ground here, too. Knuckle cluster from FURIA also going to be able to get that knock onto LG, as they are being focused by so many other players. And NIP with the bow check, with the Devo, he needs some ammo to work off of. LG get eliminated, 5 squads left, and it is only Madness left from FURIA.
Yeah, Unleashed move center zone, giving that freedom up to FURIA to be able to finally take that fight up against LG. Mobile respawn beacon down, and it is plugged in for Keon, but how safe will it be? NIP moving in from the north-hand side. They do have an angle onto it right now, as FURIA are getting full sense from NIP. And it's all up to Vayne to try and keep them alive, secure a little bit more placement points for themselves. You can see CTE are trying to hold out here as Unleashed are peeking that angle. They've got Jay back up on his feet in just a second. Chase Mob just holding down that angle with the Devo. And that'll be enough for the reset as FURIA get eliminated.
Even more important was that fight with CTE versus Unleashed. Holding this angle means everything here for CTE to hold a much more split southern side of the zone, forcing Unleashed to fight NIP and Citadel Gaming before they're forced to then take that fight with CTE, and they can just walk in the third party as Citadel, as a duo, slide in. Future was able to get that initial knock here too. Unleashed get eliminated, and looking out in the distance is now Citadel as a duo versus CTE.
CTE don't have confirmation that it's a 2-man, but they'll feel a little bit more comfortable with the zone closing in behind them in just a little bit. They don't have to force the issue quite yet. They've got the utility to close this one out, so CTE now are just biding their time. Wall down. Chase Mob almost has that Sparrow ult ready, and Cruel Buckle just holding the angle from the back line. This is all up to Citadel Gaming if they can find an opening here, but it's a 2v3. It's a difficult task. CTE might just secure their spot in top 20.
Let's see, calm before the storm, while CTE desperately need this win. Jay losing on his shield, Cruel Buckle, one shot, and following up with the G7 hipfire shots. CTE take the dub. A team that was sitting at 22nd before the day, on the cusp of being relegated, are currently now sitting with that dub.
That's a huge performance coming out from CTE. It's not the highest fragging game whatsoever. They played very much central zone. They had the zone pulling down towards them. But points are points. A plus 12, you take that, especially after your game 1 win. I think they only put on 1 point in the last 3 games before that. So this is huge for them. Like you had mentioned, for the team that was tied 22nd with OMiT on top of the day, now they get to leapfrog themselves a little bit more forward, make that so much more comfortable, even put themselves really into contention to make it into the regional finals.
Man, if it was one dub where they got double-digit KP with 12 KP, and now this dub around for game number 5 where they were able to secure 5 KP and a dub again. Only team to win 2 games throughout the course of the day here. As we take a look at Citadel, also with 5 KP, Unleashed with 4 KP. It was chaos though for a lot of the squads that had to come in from that Echo HQ side, out in the open where there was little to no cover. Really only the Pathfinder that was there to help close in that gap. You don't have Ballistic anymore. You'd really have a Catalyst with a wall that would have came in clutch for a situation like that. But man, also the Devo with the weapon loadout meta right now that we currently are seeing, Jamerson, also make that difficult.
Yeah, you got to see Chase Mob right there with the different ways of how it is utilized, right? Just holding an angle, making sure that no one pushes off of you when you need to go for the resets. Things like that. Very, very crucial. So I'm glad we got to see, it utilized in that regard. For Citadel Gaming, a team that we really haven't talked about that much, they were starting off at 20th at the beginning of the day with 40 points. So this is a huge swing now. CTE are, I think, about to overtake them. And at least for Citadel Gaming, they were able to get a decent finish here in this game, keep themselves within contention. It's still very difficult. You can see they are currently in 15th place in the lobby with 20 points. They have a very, very big uphill struggle ahead of them. They need like a 25-point game here to try and catch up with CTE.
Although where you highlighted where Citadel was before the day started, sitting in 20th place and looking at the performance in that game alone, I believe that also pushes OMiT into the relegation spot. So with only 1 game to go, OMiT are in some trouble.
Yeah, oh man, I was trying to. There's so many things that you're trying to comprehend at the same time. I was trying to see where Unleashed were, where Corinthians were, because again, these teams right here on the bubble, there are so many trailing behind that a swing in any way can keep them alive in Pro League. So we'll check in on that on the break. But I mean, there's just so much going on. Game number 6 is going to be pure chaos.
I cannot wait to see the action that goes on for our final game here within the Americas region for groups B versus C. Don't go anywhere. It's coming to you on the other side of this break.
GHS ブーム残り2人15キルしてますから今 GHS ブーム恐ろしいキルですとんでもないですね。ただ外で待つのはスプリットマントップのチャンピオン数を誇っているノイジーボックス。現在8つのチャンピオン、大台の10に向けて SBI の立ち位置に襲いかかる。今日の前半では久々のチャンピオンを取りました。今日2度目のチャンピオンあるのでしょうか。万別2期の立ち位置180度挟み込んでいきました。ただフナティック全滅、別チームの会にもあったか。
そうですね、アルデブが介入してきてフナティックが先にアルデブに狙われてしまったので、
後ろにはロスト、上からレッドラムズの車線が通っている。アルデブここで全滅。
これ3対1ですね。
レッドラムズいい勢いが出てきた。絶望的な順位から踊り出ることはできる。後ろにキャッスルウォール、ただ上から一方的に打ち下ろせるのは SBI です。
そうなんですよ、これディボーション弾無限ですからね。
テンペスト起動中のディボーションは圧倒的。装填全滅。残り2部隊です。残っているのは下のアーミー。広く展開している SBI が圧倒している。複数方向からのディボーション地獄削り。
ただポジション自体は有利なんですが SBI 蘇生通してるので、これはちょっとリアルです。ピンチ
エゴイスト上がった。エゴをつける。単独勝負、後ろ間に合うか。ゾーン2横からイグリューが落とした。さあ最後の1人キノールは取り切った。
挟んでますね。これは分かんないですよまだ。
アルデブもかけた。ネフドール残り1人。ただ取ったのはリアライズノーバー。CR との一騎打ち。どちらも苦しい立ち位置から上がってきた。お互い取っている。CR 残ったのは30。おボンブイワン取った。クラッチあるか。 1v1 体力苦しい。取ったのは
getting hot in here. Welcome back, everyone. One more game to go here within our groups B versus C. And after reviewing the overall standings right now, the updated overall standings, NRG are 1 point away from overtaking that second seed from Falcons. But let's go back at that final circle because it was chaotic for the teams that were forced out into the open. The teams that were forced to really take that Hail Mary zipline, praying that they won't get taken out before they get to their destination.
Yeah, whether it was from the west or from the east, CTE were just sitting smack dab in the middle, awaiting all this action and for the placement points to really just come their way. And honestly, no one really expected this one to pull so far out into the open like that. I don't know when the last time I saw a zone like that, but you can see all the teams just scrambling for every last bit of KP that they could get because they knew that it was pretty much impossible with a team as entrenched as they were, CTE here on the south side, to really get that position away from them and get the win.
Yeah, it was big here. Lonely Island too, while NIP tried to stay alive before they inevitably were taken out as well. Holding on to this positioning from CTE was big, even bigger that they were able to prevent other squads from pushing up on them here as CTG were walking up, and even with some of these cracks, they were able to come in and take that win.
Yeah, and that was a huge win for CTE, who really did lose steam through matches 2 through 4 after their 24-point win in game number 1. And this was a big sigh of relief for them because it looked like things were starting to really get out of their grasp and avoiding relegations became a question mark. Now it does seem like they're in a fairly decent spot that whatever happens here in game number 6, they'll be able to walk away with their heads held high at the very least and survive this split.
Let's ramp it up here for game number 6. The last chance opportunity for some of our squads to prevent themselves from being relegated into the challenger circuit. Bangalore being the most picked legend for this final game. Something to note for the teams that will find a little bit more comfort depending on where these zone pools are going to be taking us in Storm Point, but even better for the teams that may have little to no cover to work off of.
Yeah, no surprises there with the Pathfinder now gone, like you had mentioned, but these overall legend bands echoing a little bit at the beginning of what we saw in the EMEA and then taking a huge turn, right? Because, well, we had Fuse, Sparrow in match number 3 and 4 for EMEA, but it's been drastically different here in North America. But that does, of course, leave the Sparrow open here for game number 6. We saw some smatterings of it. It does look like a few more teams ended up picking up, but just not as popular as it is in EMEA.
Which is interesting too, right? Because then you imagine, we only have 3 Watsons in the lobby. That ult really providing some reset opportunities against those like Sparrow, especially Fuse too, being the 3rd picked legend in this entire lobby. But we are moving over to the north side of Storm Point. These zones, remembering, all right, adding a little bit of diversity here. Let's get away from Echo HQ. Let's get away from Devastated Coast and moving on to a zone that we actually had seen over by the EMEA region, if I recall correctly, closer to that survey beacon building up that hill over to the north side of Cascade Falls.
Yeah, we also got treated to this, I believe, was it yesterday or was it match day 7? I can't quite remember. Some of these are these days are bleeding in together. But you can see that Citadel Gaming are trying to move a little bit more central right now. They got Orchid in the way. You've got Unleashed as well. So a lot of these teams are playing for that power position off lift. But it looks like CTG are forced back, and it was Orchid who were able to move just in time to cut them off.
Citadel Gaming taking a little bit of damage, trying to wrap around. And the fighting that's already began too in the distance for the other teams that are looking to take these fights early on after recognizing how many points they may need. It's gonna get hot here once again in this lobby as Sentinels. Flutter's been doing a fantastic job thus far. Most Love losing out on a whoop though, and taking out 2 from Dynasty is even bigger. Sentinels now trying to tuck tail and run as Loader is absolutely out of there on that Trident.
Yeah, Most Loved is one of the squads that are chasing avoiding relegation. And they need a monstrous game here, really, to keep them alive. We'll see. It's so difficult to try and do all the math, and it's kind of distracting with the Catalyst skew doing that.
It looks like it's saying hi to you.
Oh yeah, it looked kind of like the EQ wave things when like something just absolutely pops off, right? But taking a look at another fight, Shopify Rebellion here up against LG. it looks like Zainu might be able to cut him off. You can see Nocturnal hasn't even been able to heal up as he's trying to make his way up that hill right now, but MT and Koifel really far behind, not able to chase this quite yet. Shopify Rebellion might not be able to cut off LG, but NRG can as Gilderson shows for this.
Getting that first knock here. And to knock the Shopify move up. See the EMP right in front of them. Coming in at the perfect time to get involved here. Gets the next knock onto Naughty. 3P, their invite must have gotten lost in the mail as they try to rally up from behind NRG. Take this isolated fight for right now over to the southeastern side.
Both for NRG and Shopify Rebellion, their performance here really is more about securing a really good spot for themselves when it comes to the mid-season finals, or excuse me, the regional finals. They want to have that better draft for themselves, so they are chasing after these kills. Nocturnal, ooh, caught out there, but the smoke will keep him alive for the time being, but it's just for the time being. It's just a matter of time before he gets chased down, and LG will go down. That's going to be Guild that started off with that first knock on Sanok to finish things off. LG are knocked out, but did they do enough today to secure a spot? I mean, they are currently sitting in first place, but they have a lot of teams behind them. Again, like CTE, that can catch up.
That was the LG too, even though they were leading the pack, not getting a lot of KP, but still have been able to get a good amount of those placement points. And that's with NRG, who just fully sent it onto them, ignoring Shopify, who were just trying to reset themselves inside a house here. As Villainous looking inside of the bunker doors, though, trying to maintain this high ground. I believe it's Corinthians waiting for them on the other side of this command center vault door.
It's a fairly isolated fight, too. Not too many teams coming in from the southern side. You can see that a lot of teams have made their way over towards that wall side, over towards that checkpoint area, Cascade Falls. And so they do have a lot of time to work with here for Villainous. And again, they're in a position where, because the top of the leaderboard isn't that high up, right? First place is 49 points. Villainous, with a win, can take the win on the day.
What a story that would be here. Villainous holding this position right now, too, looking great in terms of loot. Even those purple evil shields ready to go, too. Sends out the catalyst spikes. Corinthians also have no issue just waiting patiently here, too. There could be another team that could wrap up on the other side of command center, as there is also a ring console there, but they could deny this information from other teams to try to gatekeep them here.
Yeah, for Corinthians, it's just purely a waiting game. A lot of today has been a purely waiting game where they try to move in center zone very early on. Fortunately, haven't been able to dissuade a lot of the teams rotating in from the edges here. But for Corinthians, we'll see. Again, a squad that I think might just get relegated. It's really difficult to call because of how close the points started off at the beginning of the day, right? With CTE and OMiT tied at 38 points in the overall standings. And then you had Corinthians with 30. So I don't know how the math actually breaks down here. I think there's still a chance for them to keep themselves alive and avoid relegation.
See here the way that they perform too, and maybe see if they could pick up some KP fusion coming in on their 6, eventually moving over to the other side of command center, and the fight has not stopped. We highlighted how important this is for OMiT, and they get the first initial knock into a woke.
Yeah, game 6, Mad Maggie. No surprises here coming out from OMiT, and so we're not going to get the full support legend pick up here, but this is the kind of aggression that I kind of was expecting out of OMiT throughout the beginning of the day. But it's coming in game number 6, and you know what? I still welcome it.
Better late than never, I can always say here, but you have to avoid these nades creating so much space, deleting RKN. Shield, Sang's the only one more than healthy to try to provide that suppressed fire. Nice quick shield swap it looked like as well from RKN. Cat spiked for days, by the way. These cat spikes have been there forever from the first fight that we got to see. But OMiT backing away in time. Whoop. Getting res here, even bigger for this reset. Ooh, but the nade from Sang re-gets the knock here onto Awoke.
Yeah, we'll see if they can try and full commit onto this one. They knocked down Laser, and I think they're just happy to secure these thirds. They know that the third party is coming, so they can't overextend onto this one, even though they want to get aggressive. But for now, they'll just bide their time. They got the team fight win. They can still continue to put the pressure onto the teams here on the western edge and still play for the KP. So They're not overextending. They're not just showing their hand. They're going to go ahead and slow things down at the very least here. They have more teams that are rotating in from the southwest side. And, you know, eventually it looks like CTE, Sentinels, a few others are coming in from this angle. So they'll have their opportunities to fight. For Corinthians, though, they have poked their head out just to see who's coming in, rotating from the southern side. It is Fusions. Shopify Rebellion are also slow rotating in from that Stormcatcher side. So Corinthians have to keep an eye on it, and it looks like they spot him out possibly just in time.
Good call there, too. Holding that positioning without overextending versus Fusion, without giving up that space on the mouth side of Command Center. Most Love are able to get the respawn, too, on Awoke and Lazur. Shopify backing away now. Seeing they did hear the fight, maybe the 30-30 shots from the distance earlier on. Seeing that there's nobody engaging, they back away from Stormcatcher. May want to just wrap around entirely into the south side of this next zone, where they could actually approach utilizing the survey beacon over to the south side of where Fusion was spotted in, as well as through Cascades Falls, where there's another server beacon.
Yeah, we do have another team rotating in that way, though. It's going to be FURIA that might cut them off just in time, moving forward with what looks to be a Trident. For Unleashed, though, holding dead center of the zone. All about trying to pick up whatever KP they can. They've got the weaponry for it, the Sentinel in the hands of Legatron. Imagine that Dig, along with Vlorzi, have the long-range weapons to try and steal some KP away, but unfortunately for them, so much of the fighting are on the edges of the zone right now, so they just don't have that opportunity. For CTE, though, now in a fight up against OMiT. Purples on either side, but it's Cruel Buckle that gets the initial damage out. The Stinger Bolt will force them back, and Chase Mob taking a lot of damage there from that flank from Sang. It's a 1-for-1 exchange, but they have been revealed.
Good awareness too, though, from Cruel Buckle, so that we can provide some suppressed fire here. Even with the Havoc, he switches his attention with the car. He misses out on that one single shot, literally leaving Cody one. Sends out the spikes, knowing that's all it needs to be used, as OMiT get eliminated to 18th. Even bigger for CTE to clutch out this win here for Cruel Buckle.
And they stop OMiT's opportunity from even trying to catch up with what CTE have been able to do. 2 wins on the day now, taking destiny in their own hands here, as FURIA starting to rotate, but they are taking a lot of zone damage. They got Most Love gatekeep them currently, and here's the peek out. Awope won't even have an opportunity as Laser goes ahead and finishes off Madness. We'll see if they can get a little bit more. They do have to worry about possible third parties coming in from behind. They will slow things down and not overextend themselves here. Most Love need a solid game.
It is so congested over to the outskirts of this southeastern side, and then while all these squads were looking to engage, maybe 3P or 4P, the Mythic Fin spawns on the outskirts of where Fusion was holding. So both Energy and Fusion, they back away. 100 Thieves. Lovely R9 shots, and then the follow from Phony on the bow check as Jen holds onto the high ground. Look at this catwall, the way it's traveled uphill here, just to get awareness as well, and to get out of line of sight of the other squads that may be coming in from the north side of that hill.
Villainous end up getting eliminated here, but they should be fairly safe with the performance that they had. Again, it's difficult to call with so many teams still alive, like Orchid, like CTE. I can try and overtake them here. Sentinels going down. No real stakes there for Sentinels, but they are now down. We have reached placement point territory. 15 squads remaining here as NIP starting to turn the screws on. They were able to take out Kings. We'll see if they can get a little bit more.
Full time being activated. Faye now moving up. NIP finding themselves in the outskirts of the command center vault, where we saw Villainous there earlier. Looking at the squads right in front of them who maybe have already taken over that building where that survey beacon usually is. That's going to be Team Orchid that have not left in that positioning. Same thing could be said about Unleash. A lot of poke pressure done from both these squads as Most Lev also make their move. You can hear an evac tower out in the distance.
Yeah. This is very important. Like you had mentioned, Orchid, their center zone, for them to survive, to scrounge up every last point that they can. They started off the day with 19th overall for Most Love. They need a bigger game. They need like 45 points off of this one. So they need every single kill to come their way right now. This fight up against NRG is going to be a difficult one. You got FURIA in the area. You got Shopify Rebellion, CTE even eyeing this one from the northern side.
It's just one member of FURIA, though, trying to run for their life, while Shopify, Fusion, and even NRG are currently looking at that solo. Most Love hoping that with this distraction, they can wrap around to the left side of NRG, but they won't be isolated because CTE are also looking at the cluster from that exit point from Cascade Falls. Most Love now slide in. Dynasty left one shot. Lazur also one shot here too. Dynasty gets taken out, and so does the rest of Most Love. NRG, while they were fixating trying to take that fight, this is the green light for CTE to walk up beyond the other side of the Evil Harvester.
Shopify Rebellion trying to get involved in that, but again, in that confusion, FURIA were able to at least survive. Knocked 13th, 12th. Oh, unfortunate for FURIA going down here, but that does leave us with 12 squads remaining. And this pileup on the southern side is being absolutely brutal for the teams that just were not able to move in time. We had a lot of friction there, a lot of fighting. CTE still finding opportunities here on the edges to get some damage off, but now they really have to start worrying about their rotate in. This ring continually pull up towards that wall side and actually does favor the wall over the lift. And so it's teams like Leave No Witnesses, All Gamers Global that find themselves basically in the center of the zone, and they're just working with the natural terrain to keep the teams out from the western and the eastern edges.
And it also looked like right there too, with Timmy just trying to hide inside that crypto drone, the Sparrow tracker dart exposing where he was positioned to. Another look at how Sparrow could provide that intel for any pesky cryptos in the lobby looking to stay invisible.
It's really nice, the kind of passive that helps with the recon dart, right? Because we see it littered all across the maps when so many more Sparrow teams are being played. It's not as much here in the Americas region, but we still have a decent amount of it. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Sparrows still alive in this lobby.
Here now, as the fight to get through this choke commences, 100 Thieves forced to take the evac tower. They had double evac tower though, just so that way they can navigate around. Have teams focus on one or the other here. Drop getting a big knock too onto Slayer. G looking to get involved is Unleashed. They have been inside this building from the very beginning, still on full blue Evo chills, and the same could be said about Citadel Gaming.
Yeah, for Citadel Gaming, gonna be a tough fight. Leave No Witnesses though have split their attention with the aggression that was happening on the northeast side, but it looks like All Gamers Global will be able to deal with the VP, and so now Leave No Witnesses can just all three-man peek over towards CTG, but they are set up with their walls as we have about 5 teams collapsing here on the southwest side. Valorzy ends up going down to Fusions, who are playing outside the building right now. CTE are able to secure a spot on the other side of this wall. 100 Thieves going for the peak. That's going to be 2 down. Cruel Buckle, the only one up. And that is CTE eliminated, but I think their job is done. I think they've done it to be able to secure a spot for themselves. We'll see if it's enough, though, to secure a spot in the regional finals.
Even better for 100 Thieves to get extra KP to their name. CTG are the next victims, it looks like, as Blaze is also the other perpetrator here in getting that knock onto Pluto. Team Orchid from inside, Fusion from the outskirts of the other side of this building that 100 Thieves is currently holding.
Yeah, Orchid, Fusion all stacked up here. Citadel Gaming just trying their best to survive. We'll see how much longer Future can survive for, but this is a difficult one. 7 squads alive, all full. You got Leave No Witnesses right above them. You got 2 teams stacked on top of each other to your south right now, and I think they sense it. Leave No Witnesses are going to look to try and finish things off, but 100 Thieves are taking this fight up against Orchid.
100 Thieves now trying to peek through the stairwell here. Luxford was caught out of position though. Following up, Burrows is able to get that initial knock here. Phony follows up, swings together, and Team Orchid get eliminated. Nice team fight potential here for 100 Thieves in that 3v3.
NIP throughout all of this made the aggressive push onto All Gamers Global and actually take out 2, secure their spot here on the eastern side. Fusion slow rotating in from the south side. NIP have the angles with that Kraber. 3 shots to make a difference. Leave No Witnesses still left on blue armors. That next shot misses, but Kurev does not as he gets the knock onto Zell with that bow check and the finish. This is all NIP. It's going to come down to 100 Thieves and Fusion. Can they stay healthy on this rotate up?
They've claimed their space here on top of Pride Rock, also looking at Leave No Witness over to the other side. NIP holding a split angle to prevent Fusion from walking up. 100 Thieves are going to fixate on Fusion first, and NIP have to make sure that 100 Thieves don't get the opportunity to reset, while Leave No Witness still playing things out here on that northwestern side as a duo.
100 Thieves are able to clear out Fusions without taking any losses themselves, so it's going to be a 3v3v2 here for Leave No Witness, who were not able to get a mobile respawn beacon down. They had an opportunity, but they're just going to make the push for the second place finish. Rena Tricky does some damage, but he backs away. Now it's all NIP to try and finish things off.
Oh, they fully sent it, but because they went to green for 100 Thieves, this is just a green light for NIP to walk up with the Devo Current with the final melee hit as NIP are your champions for free, taking that game number 6 in terms of their positioning.
And it's not just taking the game, they might have taken the day. NIP had a lot of KP in this game. They might have secured that first place, that plus 25. Great game coming out from them to finish things out here in game number 6.
How is it, Jamerson? All the teams that we usually end up talking about in the pre-show, the teams that we always have to highlight here with the stakes at hand. We're talking about NIP being in that middle of the pack here. They had one more day, obviously, to play, and they came out and they performed. What a beautiful way to end the day winning that game 6.
Well, you know, can't take all the credit because production kind of told us which teams we're going to talk about, and I don't know what it is. Doug and everyone behind the scenes are just so good at just giving us the right teams. Honestly, it looks like the script writers are making things a little bit easier for us, but what isn't easy is trying to come up with the overall scores because there's so much room for movement. We had at the beginning of the day teams like Orchid, Citadel, LG, CTE, OMiT, all there on the bubble, all having varying degrees of success throughout the day that could be, huge difference makers in the overall standings.
I want to bring back Rain Day too, because after the action that we just witnessed within that final game, NIP holding that position uncontested over to that northeastern side, or rather northwestern side, allowed them to patiently just look on, leave no witness, just a duo. All right, that's fine. We just walk up for free.
Yeah, I mean, Leave No Witness is a team that has been grinding into these situations to work through the split, have a chance to keep on going, to stay out of relegation, to stay in the mix for playoffs. It's easier said than done. And teams like NIP, whether you look at just having the ability with Raven coaching, the stability of the org, just the energy that can come from that, and some of the quality players that we know are there, it is just difficult to climb that mountain each and every time. But, a lot of our teams do end up making it. A lot of our teams have those final moments that secure what could be a change in their destiny. There's been a Twitter X kind of thing happening lately where it's been, what's the one moment that happened in your life, in your career, that made the difference as you look back? That one email, that one call, that one fight, if you're an Apex Legends pro. Well, maybe it's that one point or that one game that will make the difference here. Our standings certainly going to be coming up very soon here as we take a look now, just as our match results. You guys call the action. It's pretty exciting. And NIP take that 100 Thieves as well, bouncing to form. Leave No Witness. Wow, they really tried to make it happen. Obviously, this was a team sitting very close to the edge, starting in 24th, a position of relegation, 36 points, trying to make it into 40 points. Essentially climb 4 points of a difference above Citadel, above CTE, above Luminosity. We have a pretty good idea that it was not CTE that they climbed above, but did they do the other things? Did they get above Citadel Gaming? Did they get above Luminosity? You could see Luminosity a little bit ahead of them, so we'll have to go overall and figure it out. But guys, NIP was 70, 100 Thieves 61, all gamers. CTE with 50 points, a team that had a Cinderella story, a 15th place finish, a 19th place finish, a 13th place finish, a 10th place, and a 15th yet again, or in a 5th. Could they do it in their last 2 series and somehow find a way to get in the regional finals, keep the dream of qualifying for playoffs alive? Did they do enough? Well, let's find out. Our overall standings, CTE have made it, and so have Team Orchid on a tiebreak with Forbidden Gaming, who started the day in 17th place. Orchid have climbed up from 19th and 9 points down and climbed above them on a tiebreak, guys. Vicky, this is that Cinderella story. This could be that moment for Orchid and CTE, and especially LG here going forward.
I cannot believe it. I always get super excited looking at the end results of Pro League because it's what allows you to highlight these stakes. But then I'm also always sad whenever we reach an end of a split too, because you know me, I'm always ready for more Apex. But then we have matches like this. Then we get to see teams really shake up on overall standings. NRG climbing to the top, winning the tiebreaker, now sitting in the first seed after we were highlighting their rather lackluster start of the day, now completely turning things around on Storm Point.
I mean, it's a massive thing for NRG. It is, you know, it's to me, again, Falcons feel good. Shopify Rebellion know if they're in the lobby, they can get it done. NRG still was something to prove out of those teams, I think. And so that is definitely where the energy has gone. But I mean, Jamerson, I mean, this just proves that tiebreak, Forbidden Gaming, and what we saw with CTE, unbelievable. You know, when you look at it, it was 52-52. The difference was overall match score, 189 versus 171. As we take a look at our Sony in-zone kill leaderboard with McLovin leading the top, I mean, it just means that every kill, every moment, Jamerson, is that important, could determine whether you're in regional finals, whether you have a chance for playoffs or not.
Yeah, just the performance on the day being that huge difference maker is absolutely insane. There was just so much on the line today for so many different teams. It was really difficult trying to keep up with it all and highlighting it, but man, that is so sad, I would say, for Forbidden, because at the top of the day, we were talking about how we had so many teams that controlled their destiny here, and very few teams were looking on from the outside, right? Who had finished all their games, and now they just had to see how today's games would go. And Forbidden was that one team, really, that just had to watch on in today's games to see how everything went. So they avoid relegation, but they do not make it into regional finals. But still, they're alive. They're alive. That's the important thing.
That's right. And, you know, it was thanks to the way the lobby went today. And the lobby certainly went the way of NIP as far as kills. McLovin showing us why that Hawaii driver's license has stayed in our hearts for so many years, ever since it was introduced. And now doing well by the name NIP, 4th place overall in North America. I mean, that is a statement for sure. I mean, you look at NRG, Falcon, Shopify Rebellion, all gamers, TSM, and 100 Thieves around them. This is a squad that, you know, feels like they have the right backing, Vicky, to do what they really need to do and be successful here heading into regional finals.
Absolutely. You know, and you see the Cinderella stories for so many squads in the topic that I'm excited to really see how that's going to influence the regional finals on top of it all.
And just another, you know, awareness for those wanting to know, on that top side, it was 97-97, NRG and Falcons. The total match score is what is the overall tie break for a team that's tied. Funny enough, Shopify Rebellion, who were in 3rd, they had a higher overall match score than Falcons, but it was 307 to 296 in favor of NRG that ultimately led them to be ahead of Falcons in this. As we take a look at this, I know we didn't get a lot of time on this exact graphic. Jamerson, I want to get your thoughts as you get a chance to speak over the overall scoreboard. What stands out to you? You said it, stories at the top and at the bottom, and of course relegation as well.
Yeah, especially after the performance from Falcons at the ALGS Open, right? We were expecting them to absolutely dominate here in Americas, but that is not the case. I'm glad that we have not just 3, but 4, maybe even 5 top dogs here, with AG also having a very solid day and finishing out the split with 89 points overall. But they're at the relegation area, Leave No Witnesses sneaking their way on in, 2 points above CTG, who were also in this lobby. This final game was the difference maker there for both of those squads, and particularly for Leave No Witnesses, able to make it to the end. I mean, you have to imagine they breathed a huge sigh of relief when they saw this overall scoreboard.
And you can see the teams highlighted here, Vicky, are the ones going to EWC. It feels like 79 at this moment is that cutoff based on the 20 teams that are here. I mean, one of the reasons why is that if you are a Team Orchid, so to speak, and you get 25 points, that would put you at 77. And so it seems like if you can get 78 or above points, there's no way that at least that bottom team can pass you. And then you go 2 up, then it's 79 points, and there's no way LG and CTE can pass you if you hold a higher total match score. So overall, it seems like 79-80, that's the magic number. So Twisted Minds and Crooks said, we're not quite there yet. I mean, you know, 13th or better, they'll be there, but they can't have a dud. That's for sure. Regional finals is going to be intense.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And then also looking at the fact that we had already welcomed like what 3 teams or so into EWC, now being able to see even more squads have that pop-off opportunity for today to also sit alongside their compatriots. And it's gonna be crazy already seeing the level of competition already with the changes with the legend bans that we've implemented, how that's basically forced a lot of these teams to learn how to evolve around that, plus the different map rotations.
Yeah, and it's no longer, you know, the open. We are going to obviously have a match point zone, but these teams, they've been playing with each other. There's no kind of twerkaholics element that I would say, Jamerson, that in our open match point finals was really something a lot of these teams were considering. Is this team that is not in these lobbies, is not in this league, and has a totally different style, something that, you know, now that I'm landing next to them, now that we're dropping next to them, I have to pay attention to? That's taking hours. That's taking conversations away from how they know how to play this game. This is now going to be a lobby of teams that are very, very familiar with each other across 9 weeks of the split, and are going to be going into regional finals with a plan and knowing exactly what they have to do to qualify, creating even higher stakes. But also, again, the difference being, and I want to bring it back, Jamerson, it's this idea that these points are worth more. So yes, first place is guaranteed, but second place, third place, these are worth well more. So there is a chance to leapfrog more so than ever heading into next weekend.
Yeah, again, the stakes, it's not as, you know, dire for a lot of squads here, particularly for Americas, right? Because we have so many slots, and also right now so many teams have already punched their ticket in for the mid-season finals. But right there at the bottom, for the final few spots, it's so incredibly close in terms of the overall split, in terms of the points, that there is a world where Orchid can definitely secure a spot with a win into the midseason finals. Any of the squads in the bottom 4 actually have an opportunity. Flat, LG, CTE, and Team Orchid particularly don't see too many of these squads playing very highly aggressively, like you had mentioned, like having the unknown factors, the wild card factors of squads like Twerkaholics. But I think now that a lot more of that pressure is alleviated, there might be some freedom for some of those squads to play a little bit more aggressively.
Well, it's a great analysis, guys. I know that you guys won't be there next weekend, but we will be seeing you at mid-season. I know you'll be watching, probably tweeting along. One of the most exciting things about it, though, is to kind of culminate what has been a great 9 days heading into that. So as we wrap up Americas, we've got a regional final set for EMEA and NA. Vicky, I'll start with you. Any final thoughts on the split so far? And anything maybe to look ahead for in terms of what next Sunday might hold?
Well, you can't get rid of me because I'm going to be there. So I can't wait to see the regional final as well on how that's going to play out too altogether. But I feel like if anything with the regional final, you also have to think about the changes when we approach a regional finals day, match point format, how that's already been influenced looking at the ALGS Open, how that made a lot of teams falter, you know, having to go through these different legend bans. We saw it be detrimental in today's games with some legends not being available on Stormpoint. How will that come into play looking at a match point finals? And I feel like if anything, what we already saw displayed between Team Orchid and even Forbidden that couldn't play today here, they weren't in this lobby, missing out by just a tiebreaker where Team Orchid have snuck their way into the top 20. This should highlight how close in competition even the bottom, medium, and middle pack and in the top end teams, looking at the way that NRG have been able to play today to sneak by and take that first seed, what we have in store for us in a lobby like that.
Yeah, you know, Orchid and obviously Forbidden Gaming, that is like both sides of elation and despair. You got to feel for Forbidden. You know, Orchid is going to have a night tonight celebrating the fact that they are still alive in this one, and well-deserved from them to climb back out. Jamerson, we'll leave with you just a quick touch here. Obviously, great split, and more to come, all setting up for our mid-season playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most interesting things that really came out from today is just again, how the split has evolved over time with the legend ban system being introduced. Early on in the season, we saw Catalyst being pretty highly prioritized in terms of bans, typically within the first 3 matches. Then now going to being completely uncontested, making it all the way through both series from EMEA and Americas. you know, coming from like more of an analyst side of things and really being able to like try to break down the shifting meta here in Americas and EMEA, it's kind of interesting to really see that evolution of the legend picks overall. I mean, part of it is of course like the introduction of Sparrow partway through the split. That definitely did kind of change up how many teams have to really utilize that kind of information, right? And you can flex a little bit more into fuses, into the Pathfinders. So yeah, it's been a very fun ride throughout this entire split.
You know, you two have been great. Thank you for bringing your excellence to the broadcast each and every day. I'm excited to see you both very soon. Maybe Vicky a little bit sooner next weekend. You can't get rid of her somehow. She's somehow showing up again. But we love you guys. Thank you so much for everything you do for the esport, and we'll see you a bit later. All right, Vicky, Kitty, and Jamerson. What a fun day. It's always a fun day when I get to work with my friends, my family here on the broadcast. And yeah, I've been talking about it. It's a little bit of early promo, and now here's the actual promo. June 15th, be there. Next Sunday, it's Father's Day, in fact. That's how I'll be celebrating our EMEA Regional Final as well as our North America Regional Final. We'll be punching some tickets to the Esports World Cup, where we will hold our mid-season playoffs. Listen, this split has been different, and I think it's going to end with some spice as well. We had our first open, and we had it in the middle of the season. That has changed so many dynamics and so many rosters faster and deeper and, you know, more interestingly than we've ever had a chance to see before. And, you know, it feels like the X-Files music is behind me, and that's okay. Maybe there is a bit of a mystery still yet to uncover as we head into next weekend, because, of course, our regional finals are there. Big shout out to Vicky, Kitty, and Jamerson, who have joined myself, Rain Day, on this broadcast, all of our production, and everyone at Play Apex Esports on socials. Give us a follow. Follow us on twitch.tv/PlayApex and at Play Apex Esports on YouTube to make sure you don't miss an action or of the ALGS. I appreciate you guys. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And remember, as always, never give up, never stop gaming, and we'll see you all in the regional final.